Well, we'll call the meeting to order and have a roll call.
Larry Gausted,
There.
John Glasspool, Josh Gran,
Here.
Franklin Hahn,
Here,
Rich Shield,
Here.
Eric Johnson,
Here.
Chase Munson.
did everybody get a chance to read the minutes? Questions or comments on the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion on the floor to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried.
All right.
Good.
Please take notice that an application has been made by Scott Standish of 8201 County 249 in Caledonia for a conditional use permit to build a dwelling on under 40 acres in the Ag Protection District in Mayville Township. This is part of the Southeast Northeast Quarter in Section 22, Township 102, Range 5. Said applicant standing and making application is as fee owner of said described lands. A hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commissioners Room in Caledonia at 5:20 p.m. on Thursday, March 26th of 2026. All persons having an interest in the matter may attend the hearing or submit comments relative to the granting or denying of said application. Comments should be mailed to the Environmental Services Department in Caledonia or emailed to the zoning office and must be received by Tuesday, March 17th of 2026 to be included for review prior to the hearing. All comments are considered public record, and this was advertised in March 11th of 2026.
I guess you were before us before tonight. So you can explain to the board what you're planning on doing.
We're gonna build a 30 by 40 dwelling is the plan right now. So,
And that is, just for the record, that is on an open quarter.
Correct.
He was here for a variance before, which some of you folks were probably here.
So it's gonna go close to where the old one was, or?
yeah, it's gonna go right on top of where the old house was,
Okay.
basically, yeah.
Yep.
It's actually gonna sit the opposite direction though.
Yeah, okay, yep. Well, that'll be improvement.
Yeah.
As we discussed in the Board of Adjustment, it's what you folks probably know or was here and heard. He's on the fringe of floodplain, but where he's going to build, I can let Amelia explain it. If you want to, where he's gonna build, he's all right.
Yep, he believes he'll be out of the shaded area, and we'll take a closer look at that when we get to the building permit. But if anything, he might have to meet elevation requirements. Or he likely will, and he's already set,
There's already a benchmark over
the
there.
benchmark there.
Well, yeah, it happened to hear in the Board of Adjustment that they're gonna be doing some, what do you call that? Sites for floodplain level survey.
At this one?
Yep.
Yeah, he's actually done a lot of that already.
Done a lot of
For-
that already, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than, what we would do is give him that benchmark that he would have to meet through the building permit, and then afterwards, he'd have a surveyor come out and certify that that standard has
needs
been
to
met,
be.
and then it'll officially be outside of flood.
There's a benchmark down on 2 poles down there already.
Okay,
And I had that done when I had it surveyed. So we're probably 5 feet above that. So
okay.
if we gotta have it surveyed again, I guess I can, but
No, that's fine. Yep.
yeah.
Any more questions for him? Was there any public comment? If there isn't any more questions, I guess we can go through the findings.
I'll make a motion to strike number 9, 12, and 14 of the findings.
Is there a second to that motion?
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried?
All right, so number 1, that the proposed use conforms to the county land use plan. Analysis states that the land use plan promotes the rehabilitation of existing older homes. However, sometimes issues exist that cannot be remediated, but utilizing the existing building site meets the same intent.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
2, that the applicant demonstrates the need for the proposed use. Analysis states that the applicant purchased the property with the intent to rebuild, but with the time it took to clean up the site, the non-conforming rights were lost.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Go ahead.
3, that the proposed use will not degrade the water quality of the county. Analysis states that the applicant has removed multiple buildings along with the original dwelling, and the cleanup of deteriorating or older structures that may have had hazardous materials will help protect groundwater, especially in a potentially vulnerable area such as this. Preliminary septic work has been completed and is under review, and an erosion control plan will be approved prior to any construction. Those items should ensure additional securities for protection of water quality.
All those in favor of 3 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go to 4.
That the proposed use will not adversely increase the quantity of water runoff. Analysis states that the applicant will need to meet all requirements of the erosion control plan to address any stormwater runoff concerns before, during, and after construction. But the replacement of a single-family dwelling should not increase impervious surface beyond what existed at this site previously.
So when you say applicant will meet all requirements of erosion, do you actually, when you give a building permit, do you draw up an erosion plan with the applicant, or how does that work?
The applicant actually will propose one, and then the Soil and Water District is the one that goes out and reviews that and makes any changes.
Proves it, okay.
Yep, and I believe that they like to meet the landowner, whoever's been designated as the responsible party on site, and so they make those changes together. But then we also will send that signed plan back with them, and so that's their official like erosion permit.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
So number 5, that soil conditions are adequate to accommodate the proposed use. Analysis states that the soil survey of Houston County identifies slope as the main limitation for building sites on 388D2 soils, due to it requiring extensive land shaping, but with proper construction, it can accommodate this use.
All in favor of 5, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go to 6.
6, that potential pollution hazards have been addressed and that standards have been met. Analysis states that adequate treatment of septic is likely the biggest potential pollution hazard, but a septic designer must design and install a system meeting minimum state standards. The design has been submitted to the county and is under review.
All in favor of 6 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7.
That adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. Analysis states that this is an existing building site, so utilities and access roads are present. In addition, drainage work was previously completed, and a post-construction stormwater management will need to meet the approved erosion control plan.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
8, that adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide sufficient off-street parking and loading space to serve the proposed use. Analysis states that there is sufficient off-street parking to accommodate typical residential use.
All in favor of 8 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go to 10.
10, so that the conditional use would not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted. Analysis states that the primary use of the surrounding acreage is agricultural in nature, and the replacement of a family dwelling will not impact that use.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
11, that the establishment of the conditional use will not impede normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for predominant uses in the area. Analysis states that the dwelling meets the density standard in the Ag Protection District and will not impact surrounding agricultural fields and recreational land. Orderly development meeting ordinance standards can still take place.
All in favor of 11, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead to 13.
13, that the density of any proposed residential development is not greater than the density of the surrounding neighborhood or not greater than the density indicated by the applicable zoning district. Analysis states that this request meets the required Ag Protection District density limitations.
All in favor of 13, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go to 15.
15, that site-specific conditions and such other conditions are established as required for the protection of the public's health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Analysis states that a non-farm dwelling should not negatively affect the public's health, safety, morals, and general welfare if constructed according to the approved erosion control plan and the septic design requirements.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to accept the findings.
I'll make a motion to accept the findings.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. So now do you want to read the proposed motion?
So a motion to recommend the Houston County Board approve a conditional use permit for a single-family non-farm dwelling on less than 40 acres in the Ag Protection District with 2 conditions in Mayville Township. 1, that the permittee shall comply with all federal, state, and local laws and regulations, and 2, that the county may enter onto the premises at reasonable times and in a reasonable manner to ensure the permit holder is in compliance with the conditions and all other applicable statutes, rules, and ordinances.
I'll make that a motion.
Motion's on the floor. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion on it? If not, we'll have a roll call vote.
Larry.
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
Franklin.
Aye.
Eric.
Yes.
And Rich.
Yes.
Motion is carried. Good luck.
Yep. Thank you, gentlemen.
This will go to board for final approval on April 7th.
Thanks.
Let's see. Okay, are we all right on time? We gotta wait a little bit, couple minutes. You guys don't ask enough questions. We're running ahead of time.
me to?
Go ahead.
So please take notice that an application has been made by Gabriel Howe of 22887 Bridge Creek Road in Rushford for a conditional use permit to build a dwelling on under 40 acres in an agricultural protection district in Yucatan Township. It's part of the southeast-northeast quarter of Section 19, Township 103, Range 7. Said applicant standing and making application is SV owner of said described lands. A hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commissioners Room at 5:40 p.m. on Thursday, March 26th. All persons having an interest in the matter may attend the hearing or submit comments relative to the granting or denying of said application. Comments should be mailed to the Environmental Services Department or emailed to the zoning office and must be received by Tuesday, March 17th to be included for review prior to the hearing. All comments are considered public record, and this was advertised on March 11th of 2026.
I don't know if you folks were here on, when we had this, we were discussing the variance. There was an old house there where he's going to build a new house. It's, to the west, it's not steep where the old house was, but to the west, it really drops off. So he had to get two variances. He had to get a variance from the property line to the south, and then he had to get a variance from the feedlot. And I just threw that in there. It doesn't have anything to do with their questions or anything. And it is on an open quarter.
Yep.
So go ahead, you folks who want to ask questions.
How much variance for the feedlot?
It was 660 feet.
So you don't have a problem living next to a feedlot? Okay.
No. Are you gonna use the old septic system? It says, inspection documents been enclosed. Did it pass or?
Yeah, it actually had just been installed in 2020.
Oh, okay,
It's 5 years old. Yeah.
yeah.
So they installed a new septic in a house that had to be tore down?
Yep,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So is this where Alan lived? Not that it makes a difference. Alan lived there? How?
No.
Oh.
Actually, my great uncle Walter, but
Oh, okay.
That house is probably 100 years old,
yeah,
at least.
yep.
Any other questions? Is there any public comments? Well, I guess we can go to the findings. There's 9, 12, and 14, if somebody wants to make a motion to strike them.
I'll make a motion to strike 9, 12, and 14.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So number one, that the proposed use conforms to the county land use plan. Analysis states the land use plan promotes the rehabilitation of existing older homes. However, sometimes issues exist that cannot be remediated, but utilizing an existing building site meets the same intent.
All in favor of number 1, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go to 2.
Two, that the applicant demonstrates a need for the proposed use. Analysis states that this proposal will allow the applicant to replace the original structure that occupied this property.
All in favor of 2, say aye.
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 Opposed? Go ahead.
3, that the proposed use will not degrade the water quality of the county. Analysis states that an erosion control plan has been approved and strict adherence is required to mitigate runoff concerns during and post-construction. There will be a slight increase in impervious surfaces due to the large dwelling and slight extension of the driveway, although some accessory buildings have been removed. But overall landscaping will remain consistent with existing conditions and should provide an adequate buffer for any stormwater runoff from the site.
The existing driveway, that is already there except that one little part then, correct?
Yeah.
All in favor of 3, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go to 4.
4, that the proposed use will not adversely increase the quantity of water runoff. Analysis states that the applicant will need to meet all requirements of their erosion control plan to address any runoff concerns before, during, and after construction. But the replacement of a single-family dwelling should not adversely increase the quantity of water runoff. With the structures that have been removed from the site, there's likely only a slight increase in impervious surface with this proposal.
I think those erosion things they're addressed in, when you get the building permit also, right?
Yep.
All in favor of, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
So 5, that soil conditions are adequate to accommodate the proposed use. Analysis states that the soil survey of Houston County identifies both 103B and 580C2 soils as suitable for building site development, but recommend that the building be designed to conform to the natural slope of the land. Silt loams are the common soil type in Houston County.
All in favor of 5, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
6, that potential pollution hazards have been addressed and that standards have been met. Analysis states that the septic system was replaced at this site in 2020 and the applicant has had it inspected to ensure it is still in compliance with MPCA minimum requirements set forth to protect public health.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go to 7.
7, that adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. Analysis states that this is an existing building site, so all utilities and access roads exist on the property, but will extend to the new structure.
All in favor of 7, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go to 8.
8, that adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide sufficient off-street parking and loading space to serve the proposed use. Analysis states that there is sufficient off-street parking to accommodate typical residential use.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go to 10.
10, that the conditional use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted. Analysis states that the primary use of the surrounding acreage is agricultural in nature, including a couple farm dwellings, and the replacement of a single-family dwelling will not impact those uses.
All in favor of 10, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
11, that the establishment of the conditional use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for predominant uses in the area. Analysis states that this dwelling meets the density standard in the Ag Protection District and continues a historical use of the property, so will not impact surrounding agricultural fields and recreational land. Orderly development meeting ordinance standards can still take place on surrounding property.
All in favor of 11, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
13, that the density of any proposed residential development is not greater than the density of the surrounding neighborhood or not greater than the density indicated by the applicable zoning district. Analysis states that this request meets the required agricultural protection district density limitations.
All in favor of 13, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go to 15.
15, that site-specific conditions and such other conditions are established as required for the protection of the public's health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Analysis states that the replacement of a dwelling should not negatively affect the public's health, safety, morals, and general welfare if constructed in accordance with the approved erosion control plan.
All in favor of 15, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to accept the findings?
I make a motion to accept the findings.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Okay, want to read the proposed motion?
Yeah, so, motion to recommend to the Houston County Board that they approve a conditional use permit for a single-family non-farm dwelling on less than 40 acres in the Egg Protection District with two conditions in Yucatan Township. One, that the permittee shall comply with all federal, state, local laws and regulations. And two, that the county may enter onto the premises at reasonable times and in a reasonable manner to ensure the permit holder is in compliance with the conditions and all other applicable statutes, rules, and ordinances.
Could we add a condition,
Yeah.
acknowledgement of being closer to a feedlot? And where there's farming activity and along with the smells and the noise as well.
That is in the building permit also,
Yeah,
but that's fine, that's fine.
So the applicant acknowledges that there may be discomforts resulting from agricultural uses.
right,
That work?
yep. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, I just wanted you to be aware that, you know, you're building closer to a feedlot, so
Yep.
now, you know, there's gonna be activity with the feedlot,
yep,
and you're okay with that, so,
yep,
you know, there's been future, or I should say, past history up there and complaints and stuff, so just want everybody to be aware of that.
yep.
Okay, so would you read the motion, so after that?
So we have a motion to recommend the Houston County Board approve a conditional use permit for a single-family non-farm dwelling on less than 40 acres in the Egg Protection District with three conditions. One, that the permittee shall comply with all federal, state, and local laws and regulations. Two, that the county may enter onto the premises at reasonable times and in a reasonable manner to ensure the permit holder is in compliance with the conditions and all other applicable statutes, rules, and ordinances. And three, that the applicant acknowledges there may be discomforts resulting from agricultural uses.
That's satisfactory.
That's fine. Yep.
Is there a motion to this effect, one way or the other?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval based on those conditions.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion on it? Roll call vote?
Josh Grant,
Yes.
Franklin Hahn,
Aye.
Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Rich Shield,
Yes,
and Larry Ghosted.
Yes.
Motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Luck.
Thanks.
We got, gotta wait about 7 minutes.
Yeah.
7 minutes yet.
Did you have copies of Nicole's comment for them? Okay.
Got everybody caught up, Franklin.
What's that?
Got everybody caught up?
Well, I'm going too fast. That's what Wayne told me. Boy, you buzzed right through them. I said, well, the board had a chance to ask questions and, you know.
So we did have Michelle handed out a new comment from the DNR on this one.
Yep.
So I revamped the conditions a little bit to address her concerns that court already addressed. And then
So the stuff in red is what's been added new?
Yep, added or just modified. What I had in number 4, I think I had 50-foot property line to the south property line setback. So it just didn't make sense.
Oh,
So that one, I just corrected the language.
all right,
The other ones were additions.
okay.
Yeah, we just can't start till 6, but you can come up then.
Okay, I guess you can go.
Okay. So please take notice that an application has been made by Thomas and Colleen Niebling of 830 Sportsman Valley Road in La Crescent for a conditional use permit for substantial land alteration in the Ag Protection District and for work within the floodplain district in Mountain Prairie Township. And is part of the southwest quarter of Section 22, Township 104, Range 5. Said applicant standing and making application is as representative fee owner of said described lands. A hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commissioners Room in Caledonia at 6 p.m. on Thursday, March 26th. All persons having an interest in the matter may attend the hearing or submit comments relative to the granting or denying of said application. Comments should be mailed to the Environmental Services Department in Caledonia or emailed to the zoning office and must be received by Tuesday, March 17th of 2026 to be included for review prior to the hearing. All comments are considered public record, and this was advertised on March 11th of 2026.
Are the applicants here? You want to tell the board what your plan is?
Plan is to excavate a low area on the end of our field that we don't use. I'd like to make a pond for wildlife habitat is what the final process is gonna end up being. But I can sell the black dirt and the soil out of it, so anything we dig out, it's not gonna stay there, it's gonna get trucked out of there. The problem is I gotta stockpile it and let it sit and drain. It'd take a couple of years for it to leach out, and it'll be a kind of a process to work it out as we go. So,
Then your hope is that when you get a flood, you're in the backwater, you'll get black dirt in that hole again, so that in a few years you can dig it out again.
it might,
So you lost your wildlife habitat.
well, it's, I've seen them fill in, yes, I've seen them fill in down the road, but,
I've been around the flood bottoms most
Yeah.
of my life.
yeah.
Can you describe where you might stockpile that?
Okay, so I tried to, I don't know, I only brought one map if
Yeah,
you
we
guys
got
want.
that.
Yeah, but I made some marks on it.
Oh, okay.
So if you get, do you want to pass it to you guys? So in the red area that I designated there, we'd be basically working from the south to the north along the line, and we'd make I drew a couple ovals in 3 different spots on there where it would, where we'd stockpile it. There's an access road, to get to the end of that field. So that's how we get the material out of there.
So you're making these ovals, so the drainage ditches that you have here feed into them? Is that kind of the idea, or?
Yeah, we're not gonna disturb the ditches in there.
No.
Yeah,
I'm just
we're gonna
saying,
stock, yeah, in between them.
You have ditches there along the
Yeah.
field that have water in them that's gonna, so it's gonna kind of drain into that, right?
Yeah, the water will drain back into when we dig it back out, yeah. As far as the, erosion control and, I mean, once this stuff's pretty much, it's black dirt coming out of there, so once I start stacking it, we can throw some oats or rye or something on it to get some vegetation growing on it. And then, I was planning on putting silt fence along the property line. I don't know, that's about the minimum that we normally do for erosion control measures.
So what's the Amelia, what's the shoreland impact zone? What does that consist of?
That would be 50% of the structure setback from a public water. So this isn't necessarily within the shoreland impact zone. Well, it's more that's in the floodway. That's the bigger deal. Because in shoreland, this is a permitted use.
But
Or what are you referencing? So I can maybe explain that better.
I was looking at this here, and where you put yellow on it on page 3.
This has been done before in the county, hasn't it? Along 4416.
I think, well, like the sod farm that was over by Hoka That has had a land alteration CUP to do like the drainage ditches and stuff.
Okay, yep.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys own that too, right? Yep.
Yeah, we did. We sold that.
I was thinking of the one Zinke's.
Yeah, Travis, yeah, Zinke's
Oh.
has a permit for that down there too.
Yep.
I mean, it's, you know, we're not adding anything, we're not drying anything up, we're actually making the wetland wetter. I mean, I don't know.
So according to the zoning ordinance, then, this would be no different in the floodplain than us raising corn or beans in the floodplain. Removing of the dirt.
Kind of. So the fact that it's ag ground is the same for the shoreland rules. But because he's doing moving of dirt, then that does require some things for on the floodway side. And that's where some of the conditions come in as far as erosion control and ensuring that there's not going to be a rise in the flood elevations for insurable structures downstream. So, which he is just removing dirt and stockpiling something that was there. But unfortunately, the ordinance does require that a professional engineer certify that.
Yeah. And that's the first I heard about that, so I don't know.
Yeah, that was within the comment from Nicole that you guys just got, that came in yesterday.
Yeah.
The Wetland Conservation Act panel, do they have like final say or,
It would just be an additional approval, and we've looked at it, we've actually looked at it a couple times, but I think that where we left it, at the final point here was that we wanted to take a look at it during the growing season, so that should be next month here. So it wouldn't be, it would just be perhaps an additional permit that he would need.
Now, this is a 1 acre site or a 1.6?
Well, it was 1.6, but then the DNR said I gotta stay 50 feet off the property line.
So you lowered-
So
lowered.
I'm gonna lose,
50-foot setback, yep.
yeah, I'm gonna lose a little bit on that, but.
Yep.
And, you know, I mean, it's a maximum dig depth of 9 foot, but, when you get down so far, it turns into like a gray gumbo. I did some test holes just to see what was there, and, it averages 3 foot to 6 foot, the few spots that I tested. So I wouldn't take that, I would just take the topsoil.
And you don't want you don't want the gumbo there.
No, the gumbo won't grow anything, no.
You want it for landscaping, yep.
Yeah, so, and there's, the way it kind of lays down there, it's layers of, it's almost a silty loam. And then there's black sand, and then there's this good black dirt. I mean, it's a mixture all the way through that edge. So some of that would be just plain fill, a kind of a sandy loam fill. But yeah, like I said, this would be at least a 10-year deal. Just as a, you know, we're not going to move nothing fast down here.
Right,
So
right.
Well, every time you get a flood, you get a different layer.
yeah,
You run those tubes down, you can see every flood you had. Sometimes it's 1/4 of an inch fill, and sometimes it'll be that much sand. And
yeah,
in our river bottoms, I suppose it's the same over there.
Yeah, we ran into that down in the Hoka bottoms. We did a lot of digging down in there, and it's a variation. It's looks like a creek stream with the little ripples in the bottom. That's all the stuff the sediment lays, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. It seems like in the fields where the DNR, we sold them that land out there, and it was the same thing. It was veins of just pure beach sand in the center of them fields, and then it was black dirt right next to it. So it's just however Mother Nature laid it in there over time.
Yeah.
But the engineering side of this thing, I'm gonna have to find an engineer.
Yeah, and there's a couple options in La Crosse that we can talk about.
Okay, all right. Okay. Something else, yep.
and is there DNR approval involved in,
No, so they do sit on the wetland panel as well. And then, in some instances, they do have a public waters work permit, but she didn't, I mean, like I said, she's been involved in the process from the beginning, from the wetland side, and then she didn't include that here. So there must not be anything that triggers that need for that permit.
Okay. Their concern was the 50-foot.
Yeah. And they said that boundary is staked, so he should be aware where that's at. And they will be out again to just double check things.
Oh, yeah. And it's, I mean, you can look it up on Onyx or Beacon or, I mean, it's right there. But it's really obvious if you stand and look at it. Because the signs are, the signs that they originally put there are still there. So, I mean, it's an obvious border.
Oh, yeah, you can see
Yeah, I
that.
know that. I
Yeah.
know the site.
Yeah, I mean, there's part of that, if you look on there where those original trenches, I mean, that go back and that was off the original farm. Those are still there. I mean, all that trenching is still there and stuff, so
So,
it's an area that is just swampy.
yeah,
There's
this
nothing-
used to be all one landowner, one farm, yep.
Yeah, it was layman's, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Any more questions from the board? I'm not hurrying you.
When it says, DNR's requested a 50-foot, is that they're mandating a 50-foot, or they would like a 50-foot?
They would like a 50.
They don't actually,
I would really like to talk to the DNR before that.
yeah, I'm assuming you don't want a 50-foot.
I don't really see a reason for it for my own purposes, but, because there is like I said, I wanted to create this for some wetland habitat, so I was actually gonna leave some islands in the center of this, for the geese. Because there's three main flocks of geese that hang out down there all summer, and I enjoy watching them down there just as much
Yeah,
as
if you could
anybody else.
encourage them to be over on your place instead of mine, I would.
They like the center of the field where it's nice and safe on the sod field. They hang out there all the time. But yeah, I mean, it's we're just making the wetland wetter. I mean,
You're creating wetlands is what you're doing.
yeah, and I would be happy to talk to the DNR about that too. But they've never reached out to me and I don't know who to reach out to, so.
Well, that's what they requested, so.
Yeah, I understand.
We can, so these guys are a recommending board, so I guess you would have a little bit of time in between when it goes to the Board of Commissioners for final approval if you wanted to
Yeah, that,
get that,
yep.
discuss that anyway, and then maybe they could make a change, but otherwise, yeah, they'll just move forward with the recommendation we have today
Okay,
from the DNR.
from the DNR, okay.
Yeah, if you have a discussion with them and work out a different agreement, you can come with that with the board or something, when it comes to the county board.
Yeah, maybe you guys can discuss that, just so like they're not overriding you, but if you're fine, if he figures something else out and the DNR's on board, if you'd be fine if the Board of Commissioners maybe made that adjustment, they could try to figure out something else out in the interim.
I guess one point to clarify too, like, could we just say he doesn't have to meet 50 feet and we don't agree with the DNR in this scenario?
You could.
So what would the repercussion be, or wouldn't there be any from the DNR?
That I guess I'm not sure of.
I get, yeah, in this
I-
scenario, is the DNR just another property owner that wants, I want you 50 feet off my property, or do they have any standing in this scenario?
I don't know, they didn't reference that there was any statute or rule that was requiring this 50-foot setback. It was just, we would prefer them to have a 50-foot setback.
You have a rule requiring a 50-foot setback?
And we do for structures from a property line, but this wouldn't be what I would consider a structure that would.
Yeah.
I looked it up on the DNR's website, and it says that when they ask a landowner for permission to make an easement, then it's negotiated
Yeah.
when they ask a landowner. So, I don't know. That's why I want to have a conversation with them.
That's for an easement, that's a difference.
That's an easement. Well, this is basically an easement, is what they're, is the way I'm reading it.
Well, they're just saying they want you 50 foot back from the property
Right,
line.
correct.
They're not gonna use it.
Right.
They just want you 50 foot from their line.
I know.
I mean, we have that for my, like quarries and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So.
Yeah. Yeah, but it is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think when we get to the, I guess that's a piece to consider is the non-DNR property owner came. There's no statute limiting him to be 50 feet off, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
So I guess to me, I think maybe having a conversation would be a good thing, but I think maybe we don't want to put him in that box either. If he wants to fight the DNR, he can fight the DNR. Not ours.
Well, if you guys want to make a stand, that's fine with me. You know,
Yeah, I mean, unless you just say go with 50 feet, I don't care.
I mean, it's fine. I would still want to have a conversation with the DNR, and it sounds like that could change if, because this has got to go through I wasn't even sure. This has got to go through again on the.
Well, it has to go to the Board of Commissioners for final approval.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just a recommending body, so.
Got it. So yeah, if I have that conversation and something changes, then,
Leave you with that flexibility.
Yeah, that's
that
fine.
If you have that conversation, you guys work it out. We're not tying him into something that
Mhm.
you guys can't work out, and then we don't need that.
yeah. I mean, I try and be a good neighbor.
Well, if you're trying to accomplish, kind of what they're trying to accomplish too, is what it sounds
Yeah,
like.
yeah, and it's, yeah, and I'm, like I said, I'm flexible with, making some areas that, for the habitat. I mean, obviously, I wanna sell the black dirt, cause I'm always looking for black dirt, but there's an opportunity here, that it's a chunk of land that we don't do anything with. And, we're right next to it says on here, it's Ducks Unlimited it's right next to it, so I just wanna make a duck pond. So,
Any other questions? Is there any public comments? If not, we'll go to the findings.
I'll make a motion to strike 8, 9, 13, and 14.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I just want to state for the record too that you guys read the comment provided by Nicole Lehman from the DNR prior to the hearing, so we didn't read it. Okay. So number one, that the proposed use conforms to the county land use plan. Analysis states that the county land use plan promotes sustainable land management practices that protect the natural resources and encourages protection of wetlands by prohibiting development and adverse altering of these areas. The project is being reviewed by the Wetland Conservation Act panel, which includes members from multiple agencies tasked with protecting natural resources.
Do you know who these multiple agencies are?
Yes, Army Corps, a couple county staff members, Soil and Water District, and the DNR.
Okay. Do you want roll call vote on this, or just, folks, are you comfortable with? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Go ahead, number 2.
2, that the applicant demonstrates a need for the proposed use. Analysis states that the applicant states that removal of material will promote better filtration and create a more diverse wildlife habitat. Creating habitat may help to decrease the impact of wildlife on sod field areas.
All in favor of 2 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Go ahead.
3, that the proposed use will not degrade the water quality of the county. Analysis states that there will be increased turbidity of surface waters during excavation, but practices are required to be implemented that will prevent erosion and trap sediment. Ground cover will need to be maintained, and the alterations must not adversely affect nearby properties.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
How do you trap the sediment?
Go ahead.
silt fence.
That's what you mean.
Yeah, it's a It's erosion control measure.
So we're not talking real small particles, we're talking,
Yeah, big stuff. Yeah, yeah. We use it on job sites all the time and for projects, so.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
Number 4, that the proposed use will not adversely increase the quantity of water runoff. Analysis states that removing topsoil from the semi-permanently flooded area is not anticipated to increase the quantity of water runoff and will result in greater water holding capacity.
When you say better water holding capacity, is that because you've taken the topsoil off? Is that what you're indicating here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're
Creating,
Volume.
creating a pond.
yep.
Okay, all in favor of 4 signify by saying aye.
aye,
Opposed? Go ahead, 5.
5, that soil conditions are adequate to accommodate the proposed use. Analysis states that the applicant has identified that the soil is of a quality desirable for landscaping.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6.
6, that potential pollution hazards have been addressed and that standards have been met. Analysis states that the largest potential pollution hazard is likely suspending sediment for movement downstream and erosion from temporary stockpiles. The ordinance requires practices such as ground cover be in place that prevent erosion and trap sediment.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead to 7.
7, that adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. Analysis states that there are existing access roads and drainage ditches for the harvesting of sod that will need to be extended to accommodate this project.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
aye,
Opposed? Go ahead.
So 10, that the conditional use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for purposes already permitted. Analysis states that the proposed operation will not differ greatly from the existing use of the property as a sod farm, and creating additional habitat will enhance the neighboring wildlife management area.
All in favor of 10 say aye.
aye,
Opposed? Go ahead.
11, that the establishment of the conditional use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for predominant uses in the area. Analysis states that since the area is predominantly floodplain, allowable uses are limited and the proposed result will be consistent with neighboring public lands.
All in favor of 11 signify by saying aye.
aye,
Opposed? 12.
12, that adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, and vibration, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs and other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result. Analysis states that the proposal is not anticipated to have offensive odors, fumes, noise, vibrations, or lighted signs. There is potential for dust during loading, but excavated areas will need to establish ground cover within 30 days.
All in favor say aye.
aye,
Opposed? 15.
So 15, that site-specific conditions and such other conditions are established as required for the protection of the public's health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Analysis states that public health, safety, morals, and general welfare are not anticipated to be impacted.
All in favor of 15 signify by saying aye.
aye,
Opposed? Is there a motion to accept the findings?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
aye,
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Is there, do you want to read the recommendations? Was there any change in the recommendations?
Yeah, so I handed out the
Yeah, I knew
the
you did.
updated ones. Really, the only addition was number 5 there regarding the floodplain elevations. Otherwise, I kind of fleshed out number 6 a little bit more, and then I just made a correction to number 4. So the proposed motion would be that the Houston County Board approve a conditional use permit for substantial land alteration and excavation in floodplain with 7 conditions. in Mount Prairie Township. That's 1, that the permittee shall comply with all federal, state, and local laws and regulations. 2, that the county may enter onto the premises at reasonable times and in a reasonable manner to ensure the permit holder is in compliance with the conditions and all other applicable statutes, rules, and ordinances. 3, that the applicant must complete all Wetland Conservation Act requirements that are determined to be necessary. 4, he must maintain a 50-foot setback to the wildlife management area boundary. 5, that prior to excavation, documentation certified by a professional engineer must be provided to the zoning office showing that this proposal will not cause any increase in flood damages, nor any increase in flood elevations in areas where a floodway has been established. 6, that fill, dredge, spoil, and other similar materials deposited or stored in the floodplain must be protected from erosion by vegetative cover, mulching, riprap, or other acceptable methods. I did add in there that a plan for erosion control noting where any spoil material or stockpiles will be located must be submitted to the zoning office prior to any excavation work. And then 7, temporary placement of fill, other materials, or equipment which would cause an increase to the stage of the 1% chance or regional flood may only be allowed if Houston County has approved a plan that assures removal of the materials from this floodway based upon the flood warning time available.
Amelia, on 5, the professional engineer, whose responsibility is that? Is it Niebling's or,
Yes.
okay.
Yep.
I guess what's your thought on the must maintain a 50-foot setback on the wording of that? Is there either take that out, you work with the DNR, say,
Well, I don't want you guys picking a fight with anybody. Let me talk to the DNR. And I'd like to have a conversation with them anyways.
maybe we
before
put
this.
in there, maintain a 50-foot setback, but property owner is gonna speak with DNR, or attempt to speak with
Yeah.
DNR prior to county board approval or something like that?
Well, what about this? We'll put the 50-foot setback in. He has a conversation with the DNR, negotiate something else. Do any of us have a problem if it was to go away? Would that be okay?
Yeah, that
It
makes
came
sense.
to the county board.
Yep.
Yeah,
It should be in here, because that's what they're requesting, correct?
Yeah.
If he can negotiate something different, and that brings that, when it comes to the county board, then it would be okay with us, agreeable with us or not.
what I was gonna suggest is that, like you said, we put that 50-foot in there, but between now and county board approval, if a negotiation can be, something can be negotiated with the DNR for less footage, he could present that to
That's
the
what-
commissioners.
basically,
That's kind of what.
that's what Josh was saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I don't know how you want to word it.
I don't, well, yeah, I guess I was gonna, I like Eric's, kind of request there where you guys just tell him that you're fine or you're
We're
not fine
comfortable
if
with
it
it.
does get modified versus verbalizing that language in the conditions.
Well, whichever, long as it works, that's all.
I think it should be that way, my opinion, but
I'm good with that.
Everybody
That
else.
gives you an opportunity to,
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
to
I
them,
appreciate
try to
that.
work it out.
Yeah, that helps. Yeah.
Are you guys comfortable
good.
with that?
Yep.
Okay.
I think the other board members will appreciate just knowing to rather for their decision-making purposes.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve this as read?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval to the county board with the 7 conditions.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion on the board now, so everybody understands, I'm sure, what everybody's in? So if we are, why, we'll have roll call.
Larry Ghosted,
Yes.
Josh Grand,
Yep.
Franklin Hahn,
Yes,
Eric Johnson,
yes.
and Rich Shield.
Yes.
motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Buck.
Yeah, our normal date would be to take it to the board on April 7th, but if you maybe want to push that back, if you're still in talks with them, we can work that out too.
I just need that information. I didn't see it.
Oh,
Yeah, was it sent?
I
Here,
can't.
you wanna give them this, so it's the email on it and whatnot?
Don's information.
Emails on there?
Oh, yeah. I'll have to get you, Don Ramsden would be the one to talk to rather than Nicole. So I'll have to give you his contact info.
There's a ton of them down there.
I will send I'll write myself a note. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good one.
Yep, good luck. Did you want your map back?
Oh, actually, can I keep that?
Oh, that's yours? Okay.
Thank you.
Don't you have a scrapbook at home to put it in?
I wrote on that one. I can put that one too. Oh, here's a clean one if you want that.
Whenever you're ready.
All right, so please take notice that an application has been made by Burns and Hanson, private attorneys on behalf of Corey and Jackie Baker at 22848 State 16 Rushford, Scott and Cindy Hatley, 23263 Hatley Drive in Rushford, and Rosemary Iverson of 2835 Casco Point Road in Wayzata, to make a text amendment to Houston County zoning ordinance. A hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commissioners Room in Caledonia at 6:20 p.m. on Thursday, March 26th of 2026. The affected section and topics include Section 27.8 Subdivision 1-5 Mine Density Standards. They were asking to modify the language as followed. Instead of new industrial mineral sand mining permits, they'd like to strike industrial mineral, and it would just say sand mining permits shall be limited to sites located no closer than half mile from all existing permitted or legal non-conforming. It says industrial mineral sand mines, but they would strike industrial mineral, so it would just be sand mines. And measurements will be taken from the proposed boundary of the new site to the approved boundary of the existing site. All persons having an interest in the matter may attend the hearing or submit comments relative to the granting or denying of said application. Comments should be mailed to the Environmental Services Department in Caledonia or emailed to the zoning office and must be received by Tuesday, March 17th of 2026 to be included for review prior to the hearing. All comments are considered public record, and this was advertised on March 11th of 2026.
Would you like all the applicants up here?
However you guys would like to do it, I guess.
Yeah, why don't all the applicants? Let's just bring your chairs. But this is yours and mine. Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for hearing us tonight. You want to start off? Yeah, I can. Okay. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jackie Baker. I'm one of the applicants on the proposed amendment. I live in Houston County, Yucatan Township. have prepared findings. Oh, you wanna-
I can handle it.
we have prepared findings in support of passing this amendment. If you want, I'll go get 'em.
This wasn't in the packet?
Take care of these.
Thank you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Our application can be summarized in two main points. First, the process used last year to change the mine density standards lacked proper public awareness and input. And second, the half-mile density standard is critically important to residents, property owners, the environment, and alignment with the Houston County Comprehensive Land Use Plan. We are here to respectfully ask you to reestablish the half-mile spacing between all sand mines. When the density standards were first adopted in 2016, the community was heavily involved. There were hours and hours of meetings. Most of you probably were part of those discussions. Extensive public comment. The half-mile standard was created to prevent overconcentration of mines, protect rural character, and balance economic activity with quality of life. My family, my husband Corey and I, and our two young kids, live next to a sand mine currently. We depended on that half-mile spacing so we wouldn't end up surrounded by loud noise, dust, backup beepers, heavy equipment, and the transformation of hardwood forest into open sand mines. The impact of removing this protection is very real for families like us. So what happened last year is that we had a neighbor who wanted to mine sand, but the mine density standards stood in his way. The standard approach would have been to apply for a variance, right? In that approach, the neighbors would have been notified appropriately, but instead, they opted to file an amendment to the entire Houston County ordinance to remove the density standards, which would ultimately allow them to mine on that property. We did not find out about this process until after the fact. The only public notice, as Amelia said, was put in the Caledonia Argus, which was a county newspaper at the time. But the problem is it's subscription-based. We do not pay for it. We relied on the Fillmore County Journal to get our news. That is a free paper. If there is a free section of the Caledonia Argus that is sent out, it does not cover the far west side of the county. So we would not have gotten that anyways. This lack of public comment at your meeting last year was not due because of lack of interest. It was due to lack of awareness. That is very different from the extensive public involvement that shaped the original mine density standards. Reinstating the half-mile standard directly supports the county land use plan goals, the goal of protecting natural resources and safeguarding air, water, land, and quality of life. Without a density standard, mines could possibly cluster together, increasing truck traffic in the area, road wear, dust, noise, you've heard it all. You've heard all that. The added pressure on groundwater and natural resources while lowering property values on our lifetime investment. Not only ours, but the surrounding neighbors. Our request that is before you tonight, it doesn't ban sand mining. We're not opposed to sand mining. We get that there's a need in the county. It simply restores reasonable spacing so mining can occur responsibly and without overconcentration. A case-by-case approach is not a substitute for clear regulation. The half-mile density standard for all sand mining maintains the balance you guys are looking for in your county land use plan. That balance between access to minerals and protection of natural resources. This is a guiding value of the county land use plan. So tonight we respectfully ask you guys, the Planning Commission, to recommend approval of this amendment to the Board of Commissioners and restore the half-mile density standard. Thank you.
You made a statement that nobody was notified of it. Each township in the county was notified. You correct me if I'm wrong. It's up to the township official, whoever gets that notification, if they want to notify their constituents in that township, that's their obligation.
Franklin, we requested to have proof of that, and it was none given to us. Amelia could not find any proof. We've talked to different townships. None of them received a notice for this.
So,
So somewhere something is not.
Amelia, don't you send out the notices, or who sends them out?
I was at that time because we did not have a tech clerk, and I personally sent that email.
Okay. The public hearing, I don't subscribe for the Argus myself. I honestly don't. But I guess the county kind of relies on the townships if they think it's of any importance, and if they don't, you have to get out after your township officials.
And I understand that, and that's a good policy. However, none of them that we contacted said that they had any recollection of receiving that. Now, you would think at least one would have said, oh yeah, we got that. And I don't know, I've worked in offices, sometimes you have an email ready, and I'm not saying this is what happened. You might have forgotten to hit send. I don't know what happened, it's just they didn't get a record of it.
So
How many
you're-
did you contact?
Pardon?
How many did you contact?
Steve contacted him, and I think he did 4 or 5.
Closer to 6 or 8.
6 or 8,
I'll talk about that more when we get you.
yeah.
Was receipt of that email ever verified?
Well, let's go on. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No.
Would you like Steve to address that?
We could
He's
have
had
him right now.
conversations with Amelia about it.
Well,
That's for public comment.
Sure.
You can,
we'll
Sure.
explain that.
Chairperson?
this is your guys'
Yes.
thing here, so.
You can finish if you're done.
Well, the board may have questions for you.
Okay.
If they have more questions or not, I don't know. It's up to the board.
I mean, the question remains is how does text in an ordinance get changed so easily when you would think that there would have been a buildup of, that everyone in the county would be aware of, citizens and you guys included. There is a big demand for X product, whether it's bedding sand, industrial sand, construction sand. The county would be buzzing about this topic in order for it to reach the point where it needs to be amended. I mean, wouldn't that make sense? But just so happens, someone strolls in, so to speak, and changes the wording.
I don't,
And it fits.
it wasn't, I don't think it was quite that simple.
Well, it does seem
I mean,
somewhat.
it was applied for by, I believe, G Cube, correct? If I'm wrong.
Which doesn't raise red flags to anyone anyway, because they're not a county
Resident.
anyway, so.
There was no property owner listed on the application.
I mean, Eric, you're a resident, as all of us are, and if you see your neighbor in any of the minutes, you sit up, you take notice. G Cubed is on lots of headings throughout Olmsted, Houston,
Well, the
Fillmore, they're everywhere. It's like,
Yeah,
well,
the
what
county deals a lot with GQ because they work for a lot of different entities. They do sewer systems, they do quarries, they do sand mines, they do all that.
But are they into changing text and ordinances, not as a rule?
I don't want to get into a debate back and forth here. I'm just going to say what transpired, the way I remember it, that they came to the county, requested an amendment to the ordinance. And the reason was the demand for more sand locally in certain areas of the county. And they wanted to see the ordinance change from what we had in 2016 to what Fillmore County and Winona County had. Basically the exact same ordinance. They don't have a half mile density rule on their mines.
They have other ways of regulating it.
Can I finish, please?
Yeah.
And so when I was part of this rule, when it was made back in 2016, I was on the township then, and I was involved in all the writing of this. Back then, it was all about frac sand mining. That was a big topic back then. And so at that time, what we did was to prevent large-scale industrial frac sand mining. We reduced the mining size down to 20 acres. But we didn't define what that sand was going to be used for. We didn't put a definition on it because we didn't feel we could do that at the time. So we did the 20 acres and we did the half-mile setback rule to prevent industrial heavy usage mining. Since then, when we did that, Fillmore County, Winona County did define construction sand, commercial sand construction for agriculture use, construction use, and then they have an industrial side too for frac sand mining, for silica mining, for other industrial uses. So when this was being proposed, to me as a commissioner, I thought, this kind of makes sense. We never defined it. We should define it because the two uses are totally different. Because if it's industrial, it's going to be heavy usage, a lot of tonnage, even though it's 20 acres, there'd be a lot of usage. With construction, not so much. It could be regulated in the application process of how much tonnage or cubic yards you could use. If I remember right, the Erickson mine that's next to you, I think they're limited to 10,000 yards a year usage.
Mm-hmm.
So, things that, a lot of the concerns that I hear and I see in the comments can be addressed in an application process. But at the time when this was being proposed, I thought it was a reasonable proposal. I can understand the need for the sand for ag use, for dairy bedding, for sewers, because right now we got to go to Holman or Lanesboro, and now Lanesboro is, they have their issues with trying to start a new one too because that's run out. So I could see the need for the usage of these spots, but that's how I recall of how this all went down.
Thank you for explaining that. Could I draw your attention to number 6?
Could I please answer something to him?
Okay.
Commissioner Johnson, you said that the differences that you felt were needed to go construction over industrial was the amount of product being taken out per year, per month, per whatever, that industrial was much greater than just construction, is that? Then why didn't you put a cap on industrial?
That'd be a possibility too.
That should be first and foremost, I
An
would think.
industrial came, if we ever got an industrial use per application, that could be addressed.
And
as
what
well.
about construction?
They
Can
could-
can this mine take out 100,000 cubic yards per, semi-trucks per day?
I don't think so.
Well, thinking isn't,
Well,
we have to know.
I can't prejudge something that
But I'm
hasn't-
saying-
that hasn't come before us.
I understand that, but I think you should put a limit on it before you give
I
out the
agree.
permits.
I agree.
Okay, that's all for now.
Could I draw your attention to number 6, please, of the proposed findings? Number 6, while there are end-use differences between mining of industrial sand and construction sand, the differences in production are not significant and does not justify removing the density restriction on construction sand mining. A 20-acre construction sand mine has the same negative impacts as a 20-acre industrial sand mine when considering the environment, natural resources, and property value and residents. So I understand what you're saying about end use, but that doesn't affect, that's not a solution.
It's not our concern.
It's been working in Fillmore and Winona counties, so.
They have other ways of regulating their sand mining. What you saw G-Cube do is cherry pick both of those ordinances.
Yeah, if you took the whole ordinance, that would be one thing, but if you just take the little pieces that you want for that time being, that's another thing.
For example, Winona's mining ordinance states in their ordinance a state statute identifying the unique driftless region and how Winona County protects that region.
That wasn't mentioned.
That wasn't mentioned and brought into our ordinance.
We can all sympathize with demand, right?
Are you done or do you have a lot more?
Is there proof of demand? How many septic applications are there a year in Houston County? Does that amount to 50,000 yards, 500,000 yards?
Application.
I work in
Aren't
the
they
construction
using
industry,
Eric's?
and there's,
Don't bring it.
I know lots of guys,
Why don't
there's
they
no one
use the
struggling
one on
with
Paradise
septic.
Drive?
Bedding sand is recycled largely, and there's things that are taking place to mitigate having to mine and
There's not-
destroy blood.
Like I said, I don't want to get into back and forth here, but there's not a lot of recycling, but go ahead and make your case.
And we're presenting you
We'd be
guys.
better talking like that. I mean, that's just how we are as guys, and I'm not offended by it.
I don't know, it's not the public comment yet.
Yeah, we're just looking.
No, we're gonna, when the board gets done, when they present this to the board, then we'll have public comments.
We appreciate it.
We're here to present the facts.
Yes,
That's all we really want to do, is get the facts out there. The public clearly did not have a voice in the decision last year. Mr. Hahn, I think you're on record at minute mark 42.05, asking for public comment. You know,
Well, that's standard on everything that we bring up,
but I
always ask for public.
But I believe you were asking, like, why isn't there public comment?
No, I did not say why isn't there
Oh,
public.
okay, I'm sorry, that's what I thought I heard.
But if I said it, it's on record because it's all recorded.
Right.
What you folks say tonight is recorded and it's
True.
open to the public.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Are you done? Or no?
Just one more point, and then you can go.
Okay.
To the 20-acre minimum, or maximum, I think it was. What I find interesting about that, and here's the fact, is that applicants can come in to the county board and just ask for an extension or an expansion. You know, it doesn't have to go through a whole nother process or a whole nother approval process. They just get on the county board agenda, they ask for an expansion, and it's approved.
Is that true, Amelia?
No. It would be an amendment to your CUP, so you would go through the public.
You'd have to start all over.
I don't believe so. But that's okay. That's my point, is,
The way it is.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's just a lot of gray area in it, so why remove a boundary? I guess would be the question.
I have a few comments to make before I give my public comment. We asked the office today how many sand mines are permitted. They said 8. And how many non-conforming sand mines are there? Well, they don't know. How can you decide that you need more when you don't know how many you have? I mean, I would say, pull the sand out of the ones that are out there. We drove by the one by Winnebago last summer, and there are trees growing out of the sand piles because they want to keep it active. They got their sand piles, they're ready to move. But there's nothing going on. You can use those mines. You don't have to take another mine right next to a family's home. That's one thing I wanted to say. There was, what was the other one? Well, I'll get back to that. When you look at, there was a comment made that silica sand and frac sand. Frac sand is silica sand. Silica sand is 90, if I have my numbers right, 90 to 95% pure sand, rounded sand, same size sand. That is used for the fracking. It's also used for bedding. It's also used for sewers. It's also used for throwing in yards to level things for a pool or for a foundation. There's a lot of uses, and it goes even farther than Houston County as far as uses. We're not saying there isn't a use for them or a need to have a company that sells it. Of course, there is. But we are saying, does the half-mile change, the sand mine density standard change, is that something that Houston County is saying is good for the residents? Right here, we know that's not true. It's not good for the residents. If you look at the Bakers, if the sand mine that's going to be proposed in the future goes through, they will be surrounded on the west, the north, and the east of their property. They have a 40-acre piece. And the south is the highway where it's all going to be transported back and forth. If you picture it, they're kind of going to be in the epicenter of a roundabout of sand distribution. Every side, no matter where the wind blows, it's going to go to their house. None of us would want to raise our families or see any family having to put up with that when you put all of your life savings into getting that house, that yard, everything perfect. It's a shame to even consider that. On my end, I would think a half-mile would be the minimum that you would want to have between your property, between the sand mines, not erase it. I'll go right straight into my public comment, if that's okay with you, or should I wait?
On your public comment.
Okay,
The board is asking you folks questions.
okay,
When we get to the public comment.
I will.
Then the ones that we have all the copies of the written comments in front of us. The ones that have sent written comments in, we have in here. So when I ask for public comments, it's going to be the people that are here that did not send in a written comment.
Okay, then I can read these as my appeal, correct?
Well, it depends upon how long it's gonna be. When we get into public comments, it's gonna be 3 minutes. So,
But this is my part of the appeal.
okay, get going.
All right, I will. Silica sand, what is it? We are all aware that the state defines it as well-rounded sand grain sizes of quartz or silicon dioxide with very little impurities or minerals. It is commercially valuable for use in hydraulic fracturing of sails to obtain oils and natural gas. It is not common rock, stone, aggregate, gravel, sand with low quartz, silica, or silica compounds recovered as a byproduct of metallic mining. The state does not, and I'll repeat, does not define it by its end use. When we look at the extraction of silica sand, we realize that we are talking about the extraction of a known carcinogen. According to OSHA, breathing in these small, respirable, crystalline silica particles causes multiple diseases, including silicosis, an incurable lung disease that leads to disability and death. Respirable crystalline silica also causes lung cancer, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, and kidney disease. Exposure to respirable crystalline silica is related to development of autoimmune disorders and cardiovascular impairment. These diseases are life-altering and debilitating disorders. And you ask, how can that be? It's just sand. Well, I'll tell you how. Breathing this respirable crystalline silica dust can cause silicosis, and within severe cases, it can be disabling or even fatal. When silica dust enters the lung, it causes the formation of scar tissues, which makes it difficult for the lung to take in oxygen. There's no cure for silicosis. Because silicosis affects the immune system, exposure to silica increases the risk of lung infections such as tuberculosis. Exposure to respirable crystalline silica increases the risk of developing lung cancer. Lung cancer is a disease where abnormal cells grow uncontrollably into tumors, interfering with the lung function. The abnormal cancer cells can also travel, metastasize, and cause damage to other parts of the body. Most cases are not curable. And you ask, from sand? Yes, from sand. Exposure to respirable crystalline silica increases the risk of other lung diseases, primarily the COPD, which includes emphysema and chronic bronchitis. The main symptoms of COPD is the shortness of breath, or difficulty in breathing, and it's not reversible and worsens over time. Study of workers exposed to respirable crystalline silica has found that they are increased risk of developing kidney disease. Kidney failure has been observed among workers with high silica exposure. Workers, but they don't even talk about families with children who are going to be there 24/7 and when these trucks are coming back, not just during the summer and off for the winter. They're going to be there exposed to it every day. When silica fine particles are inhaled in large quantities, it increases the risk of systematic autoimmune diseases such as lupus and rheumatoid arthritis compared to expected rates of the general public. How can it be made simpler, we ask? Silica sand is silica sand, whether the end use is for cattle bedding or oil extraction. The health risks that OSHA cites are the same despite the end use. Perhaps we need to consider looking at silica sand from a different angle, and I say this for a few reasons. Let's define the product by its highest and best use. For example, you go to some companies that sell rock for, like this building, the rock that you have on the outside of the buildings. That is their highest and best use. They don't take that beautiful stone and grind it up so we can throw it on the gravel roads. They use it for where they're going to make the most money. And most people who are in business for themselves do it. You go for how you can make the most money, legally, morally. I'm sure you are a farmer. I'm sure that you try to get the best price for your crops. That's what you want, the highest and best use. Number two, whether the silica sand is used for construction or industrial purposes doesn't affect hazards that it poses. The sand doesn't act differently when it's being extracted or transported, depending on its end use. Treat both construction and industrial uses as the same. Placing 2 or more silica sand mines within a half a mile of one another is doubling or even tripling the exposure of hazardous sand to the public, especially these families that live close to the multiple mines. Increasing exposure, as mentioned in OSHA, increases the risk of forming multiple diseases, including the silicosis, an incurable lung disease that leads to death and disability, COPD, kidney disease, as I mentioned above. The original mine density standards were a reasonable setback that had been determined as a compromise between the mining industry and the citizens of the county. It took years to come up with an agreeable compromise for both sides. I think we can all agree that silica sand is necessary for multiple uses such as glass production, building materials and construction, water filtration and purification, metal casing, foundry operations, oil and gas extractions, industrial abrasives, specialty technology and electronic glass, horticulture and agriculture, among other uses. I also believe that we could all agree that the concentration of silica mines is not in the best interest of the residents of Houston County. It is not something we should allow. Because of this change in the sand mine density standards, or because of these factors, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Because of these factors, respirable crystalline silica dust concerns silica sands needs to be handled with caution. So the simplest way to deal with this issue is to treat it for what it is. Consider what the highest and best use for the product is and keep that in mind. It is a dangerous health concern, and your job is to help protect the health of your residents. As far as industrial and construction definitions go, a rose by any other name is still a rose, and silica sand by any other name is still silica sand. I also have a little bit more that I wanted to say, if you'll let me.
I'll speed it up.
It's a small one. Changes made to Houston County Sand Mining Ordinance in 2025 removed provisions that previously limited how closely sand mines could be located to one another. With those protections gone, nothing prevents multiple mines from clustering in the same area. That single change dramatically increases the environmental, infrastructure, and community impacts far beyond what residents have historically accepted or what the county's planning framework was designed to manage. The way the current ordinance separates construction sand from industrial sand must be addressed. On paper, these look like 2 different categories, but in practice, it's a distinction without a difference. Both types of sand come from the same formation, require the same excavation, and create the same risk to groundwater, air quality, roads, nearby residents, etc. The only real difference is what the sand is used for after it leaves the site, not the impact of the mining, not the impacts of the mining here in Houston County. Treating these as fundamentally different, creates a false dichotomy and hides cumulative impacts and opens a loophole where a large high-impact mine can be labeled construction sand to avoid spacing rules. This undermines the county's ability to protect water resources, manage traffic, and preserve rural character. To put this in perspective, under current zoning, only one house is allowed on 40 acres, correct? But there's no ordinance that limits the construction of 2 sand mines on any 40 acres or any area. And I would like to add that the sand mines are much more hazardous than the home. Construction of a single-family home is tightly controlled, while multiple high-impact mines can be layered into the same home's land without limit. There's no density cap. That imbalance makes no sense if our goal is to protect rural character, public health, and long-term land stewardship. The main concern is a cumulative harm. A single mine has one level of impact, but when mines are allowed to stack up in the same geographic area, the effects do not just add up, they multiply. Minnesota law explicitly recognizes cumulative impacts as a real and measurable concern. State statutes define cumulative impacts as the combined effect of past, present pollution, and environmental review requires agencies to evaluate how multiple projects interact. In karst landscape like ours, where groundwater is highly vulnerable, these cumulative effects are not hypothetical. They are predictable, documented, and scientifically established. For these reasons, I ask you to consider reversing that and returning it to the half-mile density standard, and not to use the definitions of industrial and construction. Thank you.
Any questions?
I got a couple of questions. So wanted to get your guys' thoughts. So just playing rest of the feel for you guys living next to.
Could you speak into that, please?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to
I
hear
feel
you.
for you guys living next to multiple sand mines. I don't think anybody wants that, right? So if you think about a city when it's developing, right? One of the things it does, it builds an industrial park, right? And why is that? It keeps it all in one area to avoid those effects spreading to other parts of the city, right? So I guess maybe give me your thoughts on excluding the fact that it's next to you and it's your neighbor, right? Wouldn't we be better off putting them all in one area of the county, so then we're not affecting the environment across everywhere in the county, and we're not devaluing many properties?
If you had a spot where you did not have homes, I would think that could be a good idea. Where you have Christensen's home, you got Baker's home, you got Wade Anderson's home, you got Bev Hansen's home, you got Larry Hansen's home, you got Coyle's home, all right there in that cluster. The golf course, Donnie Schultz's home. You have too many homes there to just keep adding this. But
Yeah.
that would be a good idea.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying, I understand when it's next to
Yes.
you, not good, right?
Well, right.
When it's.
Home's already there.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's just something to think about, right? It might be too late in the planning process for that. I think about that, right? Because the inverse of this is spread mines all around the county. And now there's gonna be a lot of people with mines, not a lot, but you get what I'm saying, right? If the mine doesn't go there, it's gonna go somewhere else, if there's a demand for it.
Well, I do think what you said there, an industrial park could be accomplished and still have the half-mile density standards. You would just need a very large portion of land,
Well,
and you can have multiple
But it-
mines out there.
Wouldn't, if we put them all in one place, and I could see the logic of it, but that wouldn't help somebody in the eastern part of the county access sand
Yep.
in the western part,
True.
so,
Yeah,
I
again,
mean,
logistics.
logically, you're gonna kind of want them spread out. I mean, the half mile, seems kind of odd that we need, if you have a mine, it seems odd you would need another one within a half a mile of it.
Yeah, I guess the other thing I think about on that is a lot of this product is probably, geologically in the same location.
Yeah.
Which is probably one of the struggles, is that when I start a mine here, I hit, okay, next door, I'm also gonna have a high probability of its
Yeah, right.
good product.
however, this does stretch from Lanesboro to nearly the Mississippi, so it isn't just the southeast or the west side of Houston County. Eric, don't you have not you, but isn't there a sand or a mine quarry by your home?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Quarry.
Is that sand?
nope.
Okay. But would you want sand there? Probably not, if you have to breathe it in.
It's been a quarry for,
Yeah, but that's not.
I was born.
Yeah, but it's not a silica. You
Do
wouldn't
we-
want a silica.
Amelia, do we have a half-mile density rule between rock quarries?
No.
Don't need it.
Why not?
It's not silica sand. It's not unhealthy to
Okay,
the
so
people.
You've made the determination that's silica sand in that area?
Well, we just pretty much established that and you can't say 100%, I agree with you. But if one side of her land is silica sand at Tracy's. The other side,
Has that been determined that that's silica sand at Tracy's? Has that been tested as,
Got the evil.
has it been tested to be silica
It
sand?
has been, I don't remember that, that was 12 years ago, but I believe so, but not 100%.
Got the evil name of frac sand.
yes.
Oh, I'm just trying to find out if it's actually silica sand.
I think it
We
was.
just heard about,
The silica sand.
yeah, is it silica sand?
And on the,
I'm just asking.
Pours out golden yellow.
in regards to the comment here is, that does make sense in some context, but have you exhausted the product that's there in a permitted mine?
Right.
No, it's still, Erickson still has plenty of sand, for that matter.
There's eight.
So it's just somebody's, you're gonna keep taking, darts, so to speak, of guys trying to get at it. And in this case, we're not arguing that point if it's a mine or not at this point. But that's what's gonna happen, is no one's out of sand, but you're gonna demo the entire area in the pursuit of everyone sharing in, some sort of.
I understand on Erickson's sand mine up there, he probably sells 10 loads a year out of there. So that must not be very dangerous when you haul 10 loads out, if that statement is true. I can't prove that because I don't have no
Right.
weigh tickets on the truck.
I do think it's more than 10.
I think the price is
They're up
down on
there.
it, so they're not selling it.
As
They're
much.
Hanging on to it, because it.
But you also fought against that one too, didn't you?
So where's the demand that there's another one needed? That's
Well, it's,
you alluded to
each
that
company
yourself.
has their own demand structure or whatever,
Well,
but
you believe,
but I
But
want to
if
get
I-
back, I want to get back to the half mile density rule. In your previous petition that you did the month before, you wanted the half mile density on all mines?
That was a
That was
typo.
a typo, that was a clerical error. That was never our intent. I think we told that to Amelia when we saw that.
It was a clerical error?
Yes,
But that's why we
It was
postponed
changed
it.
too,
it was a,
It was changed?
Scott, it was
I was
changed.
told it was changed,
Yeah, we changed that with Amelia, and that's why we are today.
yeah.
Okay.
Our intent was never for gravel or rock. That doesn't pose the
Well-
health issues.
I could see where you would probably want that because there's a lot more usage of rock in the county. A lot more truck traffic with rock. I mean, the demand for rock is high. with-
There you
with-
go.
with,
That's why we would say that's not an issue, because we all need gravel roads, and it's not the silica, it's not the health.
We need sand too. We need sand for sewers. We need sand for.
I'm not going to batter
Don't we?
back and forth.
If I could draw your attention to number 7 on our prepared findings. Number 7, the health risks from airborne silica particles created by sand mining is substantially different from the risks posed by rock and aggregate production and require different regulatory approach. That's why we're only concerned with the density from sand mines, from all sand mines.
A thought on this. So if I move a sand mine a half mile away, am I not just imposing the health risks on that property owner next to that one?
It depends if there's a house nearby. If it's out in the middle of a 40 and there's nothing, or maybe even 120 acres and there's nothing around it, that wouldn't be as critical as right by a home.
Ideally, the farmer that wants to mine sand, or the property owner, would have a large enough parcel that it wouldn't impose on the neighbors, ideally.
So I think it's just 1,000 feet right now off the,
Yes.
For a new house.
so if that doesn't change, it doesn't really solve the health problem, does it? You're just moving that health risk to somebody else?
That's a hypothetical question, and that would have to be looked at individually. It's a possibility.
I'm
I will
just
say
thinking
that.
if the big issue is health, I think the 1,000 foot's probably a bigger problem.
Could be.
Because if I just move that health concern to the next property owner, I'm not accomplishing what we're talking about.
Could be. Oh, I lost my train.
Yeah, it's a tough topic to wrap your head around.
But you'd still have to be a half mile from that person.
Yeah.
Or no, I gotcha, yep, I gotcha.
Half mile from the other mine, but you could be right next to, or not right, but.
But we,
1,000 feet, gotcha, yeah.
and you have valid points, and they should be looked into and worked out. I'll also say, let's go back to the 8 permitted mines that you know of, and the how many, who knows, non-conforming mines. When these mines get exhausted, then maybe you can move on. And when you start to, you need to have something too that says, if I'm taking down 17 acres in 30 years or 15 years or whatever, I shouldn't clear cut the whole thing and then just take chunks out and then not reclaim it behind me. You should have a set limit of how many acres are going to be exposed at one time. Because there's one rule in geology that you need to understand. The world is constantly in two factors. You're either depositing soil or you're eroding soil. And in this karst area, you don't want to be eroding soil constantly. We need to have reclamation, we have to have small areas that are being developed at a time, and a clear cut of how many years is this going to go on. That's my suggestion.
All those would be addressed in an CUP application. That would be addressed as far as how many acres they're applying for, how many initial startup acres they're talking about, and their reclamation plan would have to be provided. And
However,
all the other conditions such as setback rules, water setback, trout stream setback,
but that should be,
and cubic yards, hours of operation. I mean, I keep hearing 24/7. It's not gonna be 24/7.
Well, yes,
It's
it
gonna
won't.
be 8 to 5, or 6 to 5, 5 days a week, or 6 days a week.
my 24/7 was that the children and the families would be in their home 24/7, not that the workers would.
I'm sorry, I misspoke, I didn't hear that right, but.
One of the major issues with the density standards is that it creates a negative effect on the environment, the natural resources in the county. If you're allowing mines to like pile up on top of each other, you're talking about removing large amounts of the county's natural resources in the environment, trees, ecosystems. And in your county land use plan, you guys really value that. You value that. And you strive for a balance, right, between access to the minerals and protecting the environment.
Correct.
And that's what the density standards do, is it provides that balance. You can still mine, you can still find places to mine sand all over the county.
One thing, when you get an application, which Eric alluded to, when they get an application for a permit, it isn't just haul all you can haul. There's regulations, stipulations put in there, like Eric alluded to. You can operate from such hours, so many hours a day, so many days a week, so many cubic yards can be taken out of that mine. Now, we could haul all our sand in from Fillmore County if you have enough money. But when the trucks go down the road, is the dust going to go off the trucks when they go down the road? They're going to go down the road from Fillmore County as well as they are in Houston County.
There's supposed to be dust suppressants on sand. In regards to what you just said, I was talking about reclamation. How many mines have there been reclaimed in the county of Houston to date? One. Just one. How many mines are out there? We don't even know. You need to put a handle on the reclamation. It has to be reclaimed as it goes, or you're going to have all kinds of problems with erosion and pollutions and things. Another thing, you said cubic yards were part of the CUP plan. How many cubic yards? I believe when my husband talked to Amelia, she said that Bruning would not accept having a limit on their yardage being moved.
Is that true, Amelia?
I don't recall
You
that
told me.
conversation, I guess.
Yep.
Well, we could sit here all night and we
We could, and
argue
that's,
back and
yeah.
forth.
Can I make one
But-
final point? Oh, go ahead.
One final point, that's it.
To your point about CUPs and each individual one getting looked at, that really puts a burden on your zoning staff, who already is up to here and work.
True.
You know, it's just one more layer of protection, or whatever you would call it, that she has to decipher, or they have to decipher. So
if you had it-
burdening your staff in that way may not be the best approach. But we really appreciate your time
Yes, we
tonight.
do. Thank you so much.
Thank you for considering the amendment.
So now we're gonna go to public comment and we're gonna allow the ones, like I stated before, the ones that have written comments to the zoning office, we have them in our packets and we've studied them. So if there's people here that did not submit in writing, public comment, you're welcome to come up. You got 3 minutes. Amelia will have the timer, and state your name, please, and say what you want to say. And
Get here. Hi, Amelia. Can you hear me?
yes,
All right. This whole problem is because there's a lot of people that didn't get a notice on this. And that was partially, I went to the one meeting and Eric was gonna go, but he had to pick corn. It was like 31 or 40 people there. And they were pissed off because they did not get that newspaper. And I addressed that at the meetings here a couple times, that we gotta get the newspapers that get everybody involved. Okay, but the whole problem here comes out, they're afraid of what Olson's will do to that property. And see, Olson's have had problems before. They had land north.
Wayne, I think we can't be bringing people's name into this if we don't know.
Okay, I won't.
I mean, I don't feel, are they here tonight?
Well, I don't care if they're here.
I mean, you're talking about something, we don't know if that's gonna be an application or not.
Oh, okay. All right, well, the one neighbor, he decided to change the route to the river. And he did that without a permit. And when he came back, he had to change it all back. And that's why these people are afraid, because this same man is gonna be putting a frac sand mine in. And they don't want that, where you gotta keep an eye on somebody all the time. You know, it's just the way that it is. You can't change the course of the river, and they made him put it back. And so they're afraid that he's gonna do that up there. And I flew over that about a month ago, and that looks like frac sand. It really does. I called up and asked
think
you
what
guys to
you're
go up and check it out.
Are you referring to that sharp bend in the river when they put that,
Yeah,
when it was flooding, they put that dike in there?
yeah,
And they had to take it back down to field level?
yeah,
Yeah, that's not changing the course. They just had to remove the dike, if I
Yeah.
remember right.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It wasn't changing a course, it was just removing a dike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest problem here is they're afraid of what these people are gonna do when there's nobody looking. I think that's the biggest problem. You know, you already got the driveway in and stuff like that. He owns the land. It's possible you can go for it, but in the end, you're gonna affect a lot of people. You know, it's not gonna be a good thing. I think I've said enough. I'm gonna.
Well, Wayne, but you said that you don't think the public knew enough about this.
No, the public did not know about it. When I did 911 with Houston County, I went up and talked to the Rushford Fire, or the ambulance crew. And I made sure that all the roads were named the same as what they were named before. So we got them all right. And the 911 works fine up there. It's like this, it's just, I didn't think there was gonna be that many people that were really upset about this. But, you know, I was the one, it was my area to cover it. And that's what I did before, you know.
Has your opinion changed on this?
No, I'm Richard, I think you're right. I think if you put a frac sand mine in there,
That's not a frac sand
I
mine, though.
think this is just a comment period. There shouldn't be,
okay,
I'm just
Well,
trying
we
to
have
keep
a
this
right to
smooth.
ask questions. If they're gonna make comments, I mean, we need to hear why they're asking them.
like this, I probably said enough. But they're afraid what goes on back there is not gonna be controlled. That's the biggest thing about it. Is he broke the law once and he'll break the law again.
But we gotta deal with the facts that we have in front of us, not what happened in
That's
the
right.
past.
I guess before we get other people up here, I just want to remind people, we are reviewing the text amendment tonight and not a specific site.
That's right. I'll get out of here.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'll be brief. John Griggs, Yucatan Township. I'm here with, it was 10 years or so ago, we spent probably a full year, at least, it seemed like, meetings, going around with this sand deal, with the frac sand deal, and came up with some pretty common sense regulations for the mine. The density thing was a big deal. I can't believe just out of nowhere, this last spring, it all gets swept away. I mean, there was hundreds and thousands of hours that people put in and money and spent to hash it all and came out with something. But anyways, what I've got.
Excuse me, but I thought your name was on the written comment that was mailed in my packet here.
I don't believe so. I'm just here to present. I've got a It's a petition with 267, and it's a work in progress, residents in the county. All 26 townships are represented here. You have people from, you know, some of this couple went here and there, and we're still taking them. And basically what the people want is a comprehensive review of the ordinances and restore, strengthen mine densities, clear, defined restrictions of the number and proximity of sand mines allowed in the area. Want you to look into health and safety for, you know, for the residents, and public hearings for community input before any new conditional use permits are approved. So can I submit this, or?
You can,
You want this?
On the sheet there. You guys could sign in here too.
Oh, as well.
We'll get you, Wayne, but
Nobody else
just so we
here.
can keep track of comments.
Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you could speak into the mics as well, that would be great.
Okay, too late. Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks for hearing me, gentlemen. My name's, and young lady, my name's Dwayne Tesler, and I'm from Fillmore County. Am I allowed to speak anyway? Anyway, the fact that we have a concentration of frac sand or silica sand in one spot, and the increase that it brings, not only is it gonna affect the people living around that area, and I'm a glass worker. I made bottles for years, and I wore a respirator all the time because of the silica sand. I know the danger, and I know all the stuff she was talking about with silicosis and yada, yada, yada. Not only is it going to endanger the residents there, it's also going to ruin the availability. Who in the world wants to be golfing around in a landfill of silica sand? And with people that drive through there constantly, if people are on their way to work back and forth, they're exposed to that and have endure the dangers of silicosis and all the diseases that are affected with this, that's going to give us a thing where they might want to sue us for our liability in their diseases. Another thing too is, this is a beautiful area, and our whole thing is based a lot on tourism. And who in the world wants to be a tourist in a place where they're going to be breathing silica sand and stuff? And the cost it's going to make with all this sand in the air, silica sand is very abrasive, I guess is the right word. And with the wind whipping around, it's going to cause havoc on houses and paint jobs and my vehicle that sits there and has the sand whipping off the paint and all that kind of stuff. So all these dangers and consequences for people living with this concentration because of the more concentrated amount of mines in one area is going to be detrimental to the area. And we want to keep this the beautiful place that it is so that we can get those tourists to come in so they can spend, because I think by not regulating, we're going to decrease the amount of tourism, the amount of money that's going to come in and be here for our area. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you.
I'm supposed to sign in here, right?
Yep.
Thank you.
Dean Moreau, part of Miro Enterprises, one half, to be honest with you. I want to thank the board for all the work and all the efforts you put in. I've served on the school board for 4 years, and I know it's not easy. I'm coming here from a different perspective. So we own the creamery in the bowling alley in Rushford, Minnesota. And I can't tell you, I will tell you, I will share with you some metrics. So our point of sale systems can track individual credit card sales that come to our establishment. In 1 month in July, we had 1,100 unique credit card people come through our organization. That doesn't count cash, that doesn't count ATMs, doesn't count debit cards. And so I go around table to table and say, why are you here? And they all look at me and they're like, we love this place. We love the area. We have to protect it. So we can't give that up. I think that's really overlooked. 1,100 in 1 month, and it continues to grow. So if we continue with this path of frac sign in every street corner, the Root River Trail runs through there, or the State Bike Trail runs through there, the Root River runs through there, and I'm not talking specifics, but I'm through the county. It's not going to be as appeasable to people that want to drive 2, 3, 4, 5 hours to come and frequent. I know our business would not survive without tourism. So I just want you to take that into account. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you send in a written?
I have a different comment to make.
Pardon?
I have a different comment to make. For years, Houston County has followed a clear pattern. When land use issues affect public safety, environmental quality, or rural neighborhoods, the county provides multiple hearings, months of discussion, and real opportunities for residents to participate. You did it for rifle hunting, you did it for feedlots, you did it for the solar ordinance. But when it came to the G-Cube mining amendment an amendment that rewrote county-wide mining definitions and weakened long-standing protections, the county gave the public one opportunity for comment at a regular planning and zoning meeting, and then rushed the amendment through in a matter of weeks. That is not normal, that's not consistent, and it's not fair. The original sand mining ordinance was created through a full, robust public process. In 2015, the county held many meetings and public hearings on silica sand mining. Residents showed up, they testified, they shaped the ordinance, and the result was a set of protections that applied to all sand mines without loopholes. The original ordinance included a clear definition of sand mines as a regulated category, a countywide mine density limit, protections designed to prevent cumulative groundwater impacts, traffic impacts, and clustering of mines in rural neighborhoods, a record built through months of public engagement. These protections were not accidental. They were the product of a community that showed up and a county that listened. Here's what happened this time. In January 2025, Bruning Rock signed a lease giving them full control over mining operations on the very property most affected by the G-cubed amendment. Some have suggested that the landowner simply wanted sand for cattle bedding, but the lease tells a different story. It grants Bruning Rock exclusive authority to operate the mine and only allows the landowner to purchase bedding and sand from Bruning. That raises an obvious question. If this were truly just about bedding sand, why would a commercial mining company need full operational control at the site? It's also important to note that everyone involved knew this proposed mine did not meet the zoning requirements in place at the time. The lease shows that plans for mining were already underway before the ordinance was changed, which makes the timing of the amendment and the removal of mine density protections all the more concerning. Normally, a variance would have been sought. With a variance, everyone would have gotten adequate notification. This lease was executed before the public hearing, before the Planning Commission deliberation, and before the county board voted to approve the amendment. This means private agreements were already in motion while the public was still in the dark. When an applicant is positioned ahead of the public and the ordinance is pushed through in 6 weeks,
Yeah,
it creates,
3 minutes,
I'm
you're up.
almost done. It creates the appearance
Sorry,
that
but
the
you're-
outcome was a
I'm
foregone
sorry, ma'am, but your
conclusion,
3 minutes are up.
not a genuine public process. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else? She have one?
Yes, but this is something different. There's,
You know,
sorry.
excuse me, but we could go on here all night.
I'll take 1 minute.
Okay, go for
All right,
one.
Mary Denzer, Mary Denzer, the owner of Seven Bridges Pottery, I've been
In the
making.
public comment in the
It
packet
is,
here.
this is different. This addresses sand. There's some confusion about
In
sand.
here.
What?
It did in here too.
No, not what I'm gonna say today. Be fast. Okay, so sand, okay, I've been using it for 51 years. I always use a respirator. I still can breathe and everything like that. Sand, in our karst area, there, you go down through the topsoil, you hit some water, you hit some rock, you hit some sand, little bit of sand and everything. And the configuration, I've watched Erickson's hillside, you come to just sort of brown sand. That's sand with iron oxide and manganese dioxide in it, and it's a little bit brownish looking. And then you go down a little bit further and you'll get some sand that's white and transparent, and that's what they use for fracking. And I can see that in Erickson's mind. And so what that hill right next door, you go down and they know it. You go down, you're gonna pretend you're mining for bedding sand, there's no such thing as industrial and agriculture. It's sand. It's the same thing, really. And then you go down, you got frac sand. So what if they find frac sand? The price you get for it is much, much higher than just bedding sand, just regular sand. So what are they going to go for? They're going to go for the frac sand. They can go down further. There'll be another length of it down there, and it goes from rock to water and all the way down to, 500 feet. They could take that whole hill off, which is going to affect the Root River River, which is right there, the bike trail and the tourists, and they've already said that. So taking what I buy, my sand comes from far, far away, and it comes from big industrial mines. And that's appropriate from mining, not all in this driftless area. We want to protect it. It's tourist, it's delicate, and we wreck it if we start pulling it apart. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Well, I've got a point of order I don't understand.
Just to clarify, they've had a chance to look at all your written comments ahead of time, so we'd like to prioritize the people that didn't have that opportunity, and then just because of the number of people that are here.
My question is, how am I supposed to write public comment ahead of what I heard tonight? How do I get to comment on his industrial part and your confusion about the ordinance ahead of time before I've even heard what you gentlemen have to say? Have I got an answer to that question?
So you want a back and forth? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, I want to be able to comment on what I heard, and how could I submit that ahead of time?
What I said was the people that wrote in public comments, we've already studied them in the packet. That's what the people that did not write in public comments, mailed them into the office, emailed them, they have an opportunity here for public comment.
But we will all comment?
Yes, and if you have previously commented, if you keep it to new items, which that would qualify for.
That's the point of order.
Yep.
Thanks, John.
My name's Steve Hartwick, and I don't know how to send an email. I'm a hillbilly, so there's nothing on record for me. Okay.
I like that.
I want to talk about process. The notice in the Argus met the legal requirement, but it was essentially hiding it under, the notice was essentially hiding it under a bushel basket because it didn't go countywide. Like, for instance, the rifle and shotgun notices were printed 3 times in the Fillmore County Journal. If you contact them by Monday, and I'm assuming this was a Thursday is when this occurred, if you contact them on Monday or Tuesday, they will have the printed notice in the following week. So that would be only 2 weeks to meet any kind of a deadline as far as getting things printed countywide. Minnesota statutes 394.26 public hearing states, the adoption by ordinance or any comprehensive plan or amendments thereto, written notice of public hearings on all official controls and amendments thereto shall be sent to the governing bodies of all towns and all municipalities located within the county. So I wrote on November 25th to Amelia to ask her what was the message that she would have sent, or did she send? What was the message that she sent to countywide to the townships and the municipalities? Because I contacted between 6 or 8 between townships and municipalities, and none of them had a record of it. And the letter I got from, this was in November, a letter I got from her December 16th says, email notices were sent that day, November 24th. That was, excuse me, that's when she got my, the February 12th. Email notices were sent that day, as well as mail notices typically are sent on the Monday of that week, but there are no records to confirm that. So we have no records from who sent it. We have no records from who was supposed to have received it. There are no records of this notification. that's a violation of Minnesota statutes, the way I see it. I'd like to bring up the half mile is the only regulation that was and that's the only one that was applied to this mining, and that was removed. A CUP is not a formal regulation. It is arbitrary and on a case-by-case basis. It is a permit. And what we're trying to get reestablished is a regulation in regards to this kind of mining. Houses are regulated by quarter on a quarter. There is none, there's no quarter regulation for mining. There's no limit for what you can do there. One last thing. I think anybody who has a mine operation or who relatives are mining or quarrying should have to recuse themselves from the vote. If you have a chance to change your mind, please do so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies first. Didn't she have it in her book?
Okay, I'm saying something else. Donna Buckby, Yucatan Township, what do I do? Just sign right here.
Well, the mystery gets to sign in,
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think like just a month or so ago, y'all turned down an application to put up solar panels on a sheep farm. And one of the reasons you gave, apparently, rumor has it, is that it would be unsightly or that people didn't want to look at solar panels. How much uglier would a sand mine be in the scenic treasure of the Root River Valley? Now, I'm a transplant here, as I said before, a few weeks ago, to the commissioners. I grew up in the Twin Cities, and when I first laid eyes on the beauty of the Root River Valley, I fell in love, and I wanted to protect it. That was 50 years ago. You know who else I think loved and appreciated the beauty of the Root River Valley? I'm a transplant. I think a lot of your ancestors came here, 1850s, 1860s, 1870s. I think your ancestors loved the beauty of the Root River Valley. How do I know that? Because you can drive from the Mississippi just about to the borderline of Houston, Fillmore County, and you don't see sand mines. You don't see mines. I think your ancestors and all the people in this county have loved the beauty of this place. Because otherwise you would see the Root River Valley pockmarked with these mines. There were mines. Now, coming in, I saw like there are mines on the backside facing away from the river, this beautiful treasure, the backside of these bluffs. And there's mines on side roads. You don't destroy the most beautiful place on earth when you can get sand from other areas. Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna apply a little science here. My name's John Haynes, and yes, I do have a written on record, but I want to address some of the things I heard here tonight, starting with this industrial park concept on sand mining. The reason for the half-mile density is because air sheds, sir, are measured in parts per million, and that's from the feds. We don't have any control on that. So when you start concentrating sand mines without that half-mile density, you're risking a concentration in one grid of the air shed. That's why you spread them out. It's that ppm measurement. Now, you have admitted in front of everybody that there are flaws in the way the ordinance was changed. Industrial sand, frac sand, this sand, that sand. In engineering, sand isn't a material, it's a size. So you're admitting the current ordinance is flawed. I say we change it back to the way it was. If we have to start over, we have to start over. But this concentration, I want you to think about that ppm, because that's how it will be measured. Thank you.
Hi, Rebecca Christensen, Yucatan Township. I just wanted to say, in regard to public notification with the original changing of the ordinance, as I was told last month when I was confused about why I wasn't notified about these changes, I was told that you notify by mail only for any official county business. So I don't know where all these emails that are missing belong in that picture, but that's not what I was told last month. And I guess I could say lots of different things, but I'm not supposed to state publicly what I've already written to you privately. But yeah, so I'm totally confused. I don't know if I'm supposed to be getting a subscription to a newspaper, if I'm supposed to be waiting for a letter to arrive at my door, if I'm supposed to be waiting for an email, an act of God. I don't know. I need to have some fluency here. What's going on? So thank you for your time.
Amelia, these people are saying that that you didn't notify anybody. Do you notify them by email, letter? We just heard that you send out letters to the township officials in each township.
For applications like conditional use, variance, interim use, the ordinance requires that we send written notification, which is via mail, to the 10 closest property owners. That's when it's tied to a specific parcel.
But amendment to a ordinance, that isn't for a specific project.
Correct.
You don't send out, you want to explain that?
Yeah, well, the notice like for tonight was just put in the paper because there was no specific parcel it was tied to. It's an ordinance amendment.
Right.
So
there was no.
tonight's notice was done the same way as the March or February 2025 requirement.
The ironic part of it is that a month later, it did affect this particular part. Because they couldn't even get the application with a half-mile setback.
Correct, and those were then sent to neighbors.
Yep, that's when the notice was sent to the neighbors, right?
But we're supposed to know this as public citizens. How? I mean, it's not like we sit at home and read the handbook on Houston County. I think there needs to be something more consistent that notifies all of us, maybe not just the nearest 10.
Yeah, maybe I could comment since I'm here.
Go ahead.
All right, because to me, it sounds like there's a lot of communication issues that have happened with this. And obviously, I don't blame the Bakers. I think that's your last name. I'd be horrified if they were going to put a sand mine on either side of my property. I mean, I think anybody would be. So obviously, communication was a problem. Now, I'm starting to try to read the county minutes and stuff more now after this happened. I'm guilty, I don't. I get the Argus. But I sure knew about that rifle ordinance change, and that was very well advertised everywhere. I mean, I knew that. I even knew where it was going to be held at.
That's a little different because that's that was a state law that was passed that gave us the option to opt out of that state law.
Right, but what I'm saying is, if you
So-
make a change like this, could really affect a landowner, maybe it does need to be advertised more, because, you know, I'm a taxpayer, I've lived here for 40-some years. You know, I realize I have farmers who I'm good friends with, and by God, I want them to make it in life and do okay, but I also want to live a happy, full quality life too, and I've lived here a long time and I pay my taxes. So I just think it's communication. That's all I'm saying is maybe when you make a change such as this, that's really gonna affect landowners, maybe you need to advertise it more and ask for more public comment. So that's all I gotta say. Who's your name?
Thank you.
Ann Yeakel.
You know, when you were saying it wasn't site specific,
We're done.
it was
This is-
definitely site intended. We all know that it went in a timeline. and
Are you coming up to do your 3 minutes? I mean, you've already.
He's already been there. He's been here once. You've been here a long
Oh,
time.
but it was site intended, maybe not specific.
Would you like to get up and say something?
You know, I'd like to have some comments up here.
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks for my time. All right, guys, I'd like to say that I'm extremely disappointed in your tone tonight. It seems like you don't want to listen to what your county constituents have to say.
Can you
I
just
don't
sit down?
understand. I'll sign my name. Luke Hatley. So my dad bought the property 2 years ago. Are you laughing, sir? Okay, it's a pretty big deal in my family because
Yep.
I expected to move on to this property. And you're gonna ruin my life because you're just gonna slip an ordinance in that's not even. Okay, so I have 2 daughters. Okay? We want to move down here. I'm from Rushford. I graduated in Rushford. My dad had a place in Florida. We decided to sell the place in Florida to buy the Hoyland property. Our dream had come true. My daughter is graduating in May. Okay? I haven't got the money yet, compiled yet, for a well and everything I need to move down here, but it's on the horizon. But if I got mine in my backyard, and I gotta worry about some grad kid walking out, falling down and killing themselves, I mean, I can't believe the process that this came through. It's just absolutely asinine that this is how the ordinance could be changed. That you can just change it and then not even notify the public? I'm done.
That it for public comments?
Take care of this first.
Trevor Oliver from St. Paul. Just to preface, even though that's not what I'm here to talk about, I am the attorney, one of the attorneys who helped the applicants with their application. But what I'm actually here to talk about is I've been doing municipal law for over 20 years.
Could you speak
Really?
up a little?
I'm into the microphone. I've been doing municipal law for over 20 years, and I was a member of the St. Paul's Planning Commission for 11 of those years. And I just want to say that the process needs to be looked at, but sometimes the public notice misses. It just does. We all, and I'm sure you guys have been there. The public engagement process sometimes isn't what it should be. You have an opportunity to go back and fix that with this. You don't always have that, because sometimes notices go out for things that you can't reverse. But this is a policy decision that you can reverse. And I would say also, again, 11 years on St. Paul. Now, some of those were during COVID, so let's say 9 years of St. Paul where people could actually show up. I would need 2 hands, but just barely, to tell you how many meetings we had, meeting twice a month, where we had a crowd this size. And particularly one that seems this unified in their point. Again, you guys have the opportunity to do this differently, whether that is, moving this on to the board with a recommendation saying, you should consider this, or, if other policy issues should maybe be wrapped into this, table this and have that discussion. But I wouldn't dismiss this out of hand. This obviously, it was a delicate settlement 10 years ago, and changing that has obviously kicked a hornet's nest. I think you gentlemen really need to consider dealing with that. just from one planning commissioner to another. So, thanks.
Anybody else?
I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, so I have 2 points to make. If your public notice is in the Argus.
State your name first.
Oh, Tracy Heim. I wrote it down too for you. I have 2 points to make. If your public notice goes out in the Argus, that is not free to the public. That is what, $57 a year? I do not subscribe to the Argus. I would not be notified in that way. That's a problem that you do need to fix. The second point I want to make is we're talking about a half mile. Here to the Wide Rooster, 1/4 mile. Here to the vets, 1/4 mile. Maybe 3-4 blocks. A half mile seems like the bare minimum between me and a sand mine. Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, we're going to close the public comments. The board will have discussion. And while we're having discussion, I'd appreciate it if from the audience here, you let us have our discussion because the public comments are closed. So,
Clarify
Yeah.
something. So was it just the Caledonia Argus? Is that what the normal process is?
Correct. Statute requires that we post it in our legal newspaper, which is the Caledonia Argus. It was last year and it is this year again.
and that decision, correct me if I'm wrong, is made by the commissioners. Is that correct?
That's.
The
Or am I wrong?
papers submit bids and
Papers-
then, yes.
Papers submit bids.
Okay,
We open the bids at the beginning of the year, the first meeting of the year. And that's when we decide you usually take the lowest bid and that's how we decide what our legal newspaper is.
And that's the minimum requirement by the state, right?
Correct.
I mean, that might be something, because just thinking out loud, right? Like, ideally, you don't want to sneak anything through. You want to have public discourse, whether it's you agree or not, but everybody to know about it. And I think about myself, right? Like, I don't read the Caledonia Argus every day, you know? Like, how would you know, especially in this scenario, if a CUP goes through, then the 10 closest property owners are going to be notified. And then if they want to contact others and let people know, now you for sure have a group of people that are going to get it in the mail, going to open it, right? Whereas if nobody's directly being notified, you go to something where on those, you publish them in Fillmore County that everybody gets and it's free, like things like that, where it gets the message out more when you know it's not a direct group of people being notified. I don't think you need to put every single, like you said, most nights we come here and there's nobody in the audience, right? So it's like, I don't think you need to publish every single thing in every single paper, out there or means of communication, but do you take the ones that are not specific to a project, so the owners, there won't be an owner group that's notified, and then publish that in a greater sphere? Just something to consider.
Yep.
so then how would Amelia categorize the ones that are important and to make sure that everybody in the county knew it? And can you imagine what that would cost for postage?
I think it's just when the 10 closest property owners are notified for something, to me, that's a reasonable, hey, if the 10 right next to it don't have a problem, probably not gonna get feedback from a lot of others. And if they do have a problem, they're gonna get the word out. Whereas things that don't go out to the 10 closest property owners, I think that's where your gap probably is, where we might have room for improvement,
So then, in your opinion, do you think that the planning commission board, it's our responsibility, or is it the commissioner's responsibility to let people know that, important issue is coming up? I'm just asking.
Yeah, I think that'd be the commission, their decision on how it all shakes out there, but you wouldn't send it to everybody. I'm saying publish it in more area, I'm not sure. It's a tough thing, because a lot of people don't read the paper anymore, so how you gonna find out? That's the tough piece of it.
Well, we've had discussions as a board, on maybe considering having more than one legal newspaper. It'll be rather costly with all the notifications, but, and we've discussed the possibility of just having Fillmore County because that's more available, but the problem with Fillmore County is the La Crescent area doesn't get it. So, and that's a big population center of the county, so, I mean, it's a tough choice, so. But I get what you're saying. It's something that we could do a better job at putting more notices in the paper. Definitely.
Is there a like Houston County Facebook page, right? Cause like you might get way more traction. Somebody sees it flagged out there, they share it and people get excited and and know what's going on. Like, do we post it there too? Cause you gotta imagine there's a demographic that's not reading the paper anymore, right? Yeah, I don't know. I just think you want people to have a open debate about it, whether you agree with each other or not. And how do we get better at that? Because obviously we're here and we didn't do the best job at it, right? But it's not an easy problem to solve, but something to think about.
Well, I think it should be pointed out that Amelia followed everything she needed to do this amendment change, right?
Yes.
She did all the notices, did all the legal requirements, followed all the rules. To say it was slipped through, I don't think it's a fair.
Good point. Yep.
Fair thing to say. And we had discussion as a board. I wasn't on the planning commission then, but there was a discussion by the planning commission. It moved on to the county board. There was some discussion there on it. And so it was two public hearings on it, so.
What we're facing here is we have to make a decision as a board. We have to weigh in, and I'm not throwing stones because I live in a glass house, but we have to go by what was done. It was done legally from the zoning office. I think it's if the miscommunication didn't get out, I mean, it's not, we can't, I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think we can say, well, because there wasn't enough notification, we got to change our zoning ordinance back and forth, because the next time something comes up and the zoning ordinance gets changed, then somebody else didn't get notified, so we'd be changing the zoning ordinance back and forth and back and forth. So,
Well, we can go back and forth on the miscommunication, but I don't think it would be going, changing the comprehensive land use plan all the time. But I think from what we've seen tonight, there's enough of an indication that maybe a mistake was made, and we have an opportunity tonight to rectify it and either start over or go back to what we had before. This isn't to place blame on any other planning commission members or anybody. It's just that, I mean, with the public comment, even the Olsons who were gonna have this, who originally applied for the permit, they didn't even show up. So I can't, if there was this terrific need for bedding sand, where were they?
They probably didn't show up because they didn't get a notification of it, did they?
Well, this isn't quite a joke.
I'm serious. Did you send them
I mean,
did you send them a letter?
Not for tonight.
Wait a minute here, the board is discussing here now.
I guess I want to clarify one thing before we get on another, or go down another tangent, but just to clarify a statement Commissioner Johnson made, there was a public hearing at the Planning Commission level, and you guys voted on it at the board level, but that's not noticed as a public hearing when it goes to the Board of Commissioners. So.
I mean, to me, one of the things, I'm sorry I don't remember your name, but you own the creamery?
Correct.
1,100 new people.
1 month.
In 1 month?
Correct.
That says to me that maybe tourism is a little more important than bedding sand.
And I can show you the numbers, I'll print the reports, that's 1 month.
No, you don't have to for me, I believe you.
The two rivers, the river all summer long.
I got another question. So we have the distinction between construction minerals, right, which is the.
Louder, please.
Distinction between construction.
Commercial.
A construction mine, commercial mine, and an industrial mine. Is the main difference on the industrial mine, reading through this, the fact they would sell it for fracking? Is that the main, or is there an actual like unit of measure differential? So is it like 10,000 versus 20,000 a month, or, you know, or is it the actual end use distinction that's kind of laid out here?
I believe also the operation. When you're looking at a construction sand mine versus an industrial frac sand mine, they're very different operations. Industrial fracking is on both a larger scale, and you're seeing that many more trucks going out. It sounds like they potentially are 24/7 operations. There's washing plants. There's a lot of more infrastructure to go along with them. And I can understand why you would want a setback requirement for those sort of operations. But this change has no impact on frac operations. That was one thing that they made a point to state, was that this would only change construction sand mining language.
And I believe that's why the other Fillmore County, Winona County have the similar definitions of end use.
But we run into, the definition is always going to be a problem, because where it ends up is how this needs to be defined. But so that's something we can struggle with, you know, forever if we want to. But the density issue is really a simple one. All we have to do is go back to where we were before, and it seems to me like the majority of the people here would be happy. We would solve a problem that will keep, unless we want to keep having these meetings like this, we're going to struggle with this forever and ever, amen. So if we go back to the half mile, we're set for a while.
One thing about it, we do not make the final decision. You folks know that. The commissioners.
No, but we recommend.
Well, we've recommended a lot of things before you got on the board, and the commissioners threw.
I was on for 9 years, so I understand this.
Well, you weren't on 9 years when I was on it, so.
So I understand what's going on.
I got a question for you, a legit question. So what's your thoughts on, we let aggregate, let's say aggregate mines be closer than a half mile, but not sand? Kind of what's your thinking on that?
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, that aggregate mines weren't even included. This,
that's what I'm saying. So what, to you, what's the big distinction that we can do it for aggregate mines, but we can't do it for sand mines?
one thing is that we can never, and we never have, 10 years ago, we couldn't get past end use. I mean, you can take a truckload of frac sand, right? silica sand and backfill a basement with it easy. But you can't take a semi-load out of the river and use it for frac sand. So when somebody says local, I think, what does local mean? Does it mean in the county? Does it mean you take it to a barge in Winona where it gets shipped somewhere else? I mean, and local is a giant word for this because we can't define local. And just by saying that silica sand, we're going to use it for a construction thing, that's fine. But an apple and a peach are fruit, but you can't make an apple pie out of a peach. I mean,
So what do you want to do? Do you want to?
if it was up to me, my opinion is go back to the half mile. We
I
can
heard that.
rehash the definitions, but that's going to take a lot longer.
Yeah, I think the end use piece is a difficult thing, right? Because what's our enforcement mechanism to determine what the end use is? I'm assuming it would be complaint driven, right? But
Yeah.
how are you gonna know that truck drives out of there if it's construction sand or if it's going to a frac? So I feel like the better industrial versus construction would be much better construed as the volume that you do, not what the end use is, because we aren't gonna know the end use at the end of the day.
Well, I think that's what you could do is you could put volume limits on what you can mine. So like, let's say 10,000 yards that you could take out of there every year for construction use only. That could be a condition. It can only be for construction or agriculture.
Yep.
But that
And
doesn't
so-
help with the density
So-
problem, and that's actually why we're here.
What
It's
I'm
a density
I'm just trying to
problem.
answer what he's talking about here, what he's asking. So, by doing that, I think that's why Fillmore and Winona County did, is to define the end use, to get a handle on what it's being used for versus local use. Now, local is a pretty wide term. I mean, we get sand from Wisconsin for some of our sewer systems. We get sand from Fillmore County for our sewer systems. I think all the sand that we have in the county that is being mined right now, I know for a fact, I don't think any of them are being used for frac sand. It's all for local construction or agriculture, agri use. So we gotta go by what the last pattern of what's been going on. If Bruning or G-Cube comes in here and says that, well, we might use it for frac sand, well, then you're not gonna get a permit for a construction use permit. You're gonna have to get an industrial use permit.
Yeah, and I guess that's where, I don't know if that's the right path, honestly, because if it's the same exact product, we shouldn't really determine what the end use is, right? It should
That
be
was
based on
thinking
the
back in-
volume.
That was the thinking
of-
back in 2014.
Yeah,
That's what we were thinking. But like I said, since then, Fillmore County, Winona County, they did that, make a determination. And I believe Winona County put a ban on frac sand mining. So
Moratorium.
but the question on that, again, would be like, this is just for me to learn, but is it on frac sand, the sale of it to oil companies? Or is it on, because frac sand can be used in many other things, right?
Glass.
Yeah. The bedding of cattle, do they ban frac sand? Like you can't mine the actual product or the sale
I
to
don't
a
know
certain-
exactly how Winona's ban works. I don't know. I haven't read that into
So I
it.
think banning the sale to a certain group of people shouldn't do, because super hard to enforce and not our business, but be more of a volume driven, how much are you processing?
And the
They've
other
been,
thing
they've been
about
making it work. Houston, or Fillmore and Winona County they've had this for a long time and it's been working.
So I guess we still have the control on the permit process, right? That's kind of where those limitations would be set, is through the permit process of how much volume you can take out per month or per year.
One of the things about fracking is it's not profitable at a certain price per barrel. And that's kind of 10 years. One of the reasons the kind of controversy died was that the price went completely.
Might take off here real soon again.
Right, but back then, everybody went bankrupt. I mean, they had bankruptcy sales in Winona. They sold the fracs and equipment, stuff like that. It's boom and bust. If the price of a barrel of oil isn't high enough, nobody wants it, which is what was going on for a long time. Nobody wanted it. Now I think we're gonna probably see it again.
But by defining it for end use of what it's being used for, I feel that's a fair regulation way of doing it.
But it doesn't solve the density problem. The bakers can't be the only people around here who would have this problem. You know, ordinarily you'd say, well, one mine is not going to affect your property value. Probably not. Because somebody doesn't care, you know, two of them on both sides of you. Now you're talking about somebody's going to care.
Well, you're right, Rich, because like the density rule for quarries, that doesn't exist. And that there's people that live next to quarries that are close together within a half mile. I mean, I do.
Not the same health hazard.
And like I say, for the sand mines, we gotta determine if there is silica. That'd be one of probably the stipulations to determine what's there.
Sand is silica. All sand is silica.
Dioxide. If it tore out of our hill, it's cracked. It's chemically impossible to not be.
This is for the board now.
We're supposed to have a discussion here, not with all of you. You've had your
Decision tonight on this.
What does the board want to do? Does the board want to vote tonight on a recommendation to the commissioners one way or the other?
I guess another thought. So 1,000 feet off of a property is what you have to be today?
For a house.
Just a house, not somebody else's property? Okay,
It'd be a 50-foot setback from an adjacent property.
got you. So it's only
1,000-foot setback for quarries and sand mines.
from a house?
From a house.
From a house, yeah.
For new ones in the house, if someone's building a house, they have to be 1,000-foot. Yeah, or get a variance, correct? So Amelia, I was gonna ask you too, because I got brought up a few times. So it was brought up that they could have come and got a variance for the old rule, is that true?
That was prior to my working on this project. But my understanding was that they were told no.
I don't think you could, I think the reason why is you couldn't get a variance on something that was established. It's kind of like the quarter rule for a house. You can't get a variance to change that,
That would be my guess.
build that. So you couldn't do it for a half-mile setback between sand mines
Yeah.
as well, right?
That would be my guess, but I don't know that with certainty. But that's why they came to that determination.
Well, what does the board want to do? Do they want to vote on it tonight?
I have a question for the audience. I know the Bakers, I know most of you people there. Is this main objection, if it was, say, 0.6 of a mile or 0.7 of a mile between the sand mines, would we be here tonight? Just a common question I want to know.
Rebecca Christensen. My thing is, it is not just another mine that's within a half mile. You've got a protected trout stream. You've got a trout farm. We've got eagles that have been roosting and nesting there for 30 years, teaching their babies to fly every spring. You've got I just saw a golden eagle. Yeah. We've got so many things that this mine should not have ever been thought of to be put in that spot for all of those reasons. And I don't know how this came about, that this could be happening.
No, Larry's question was, if it was a half-mile density, would we be here?
Can I respond to that? As I brought up before, the half mile, yeah, we can still argue whether we want mines or not, but it gets down into that ppm, parts per million. Doesn't just affect the airshed, by the way. It also affects the watershed. What you're doing in that half-mile density, personally, I stretch it out, but you're making sure that you don't get a concentration in one quarter section. Understand what I'm trying to explain to you here? With the half-mile density, no, we probably wouldn't have, people are still gonna object to mining. There's a legitimate concern when you start concentrating the effects of having two mines right next to each other. Okay, do you understand what I'm trying to say here? When you spread it out, the bad effects are nearest. The ppms go way, way down. One of the things that I did check with Minnesota EPA, people realize that we are already same grade as the Twin Cities for air quality. And you want to change that? What, so we can beat St. Paul? No, we need to spread this out. Did that answer your question?
Hey.
I'm Tony Christensen, and I live down below where the mine is. To me, between the Erickson mine, which is an established mine, this piece of property couldn't even apply with the half-mile setback.
Right.
It's not wide enough.
So the question is, I have, yes, the half mile is a minimum. I would prefer higher, quarter, or 3/4, I mean, or a mile.
So you're proposing more now?
Well, I'm saying let's stay there. I'm not proposing more. I personally would enjoy it if it was further. I also think, why do we have to keep opening? I know that Bruning has at least 3 mines operating with permits in the county, sand mines. Roverwood has a few. There's Bonanza, D, and...
Roverwood's no longer in business.
Well, they have their name on it. I got it straight from...
There may be property owners, but they don't do.
Well, then somebody else, then I don't know, maybe. But anyways, that's who zoning told me today.
So that would have been who the permit was issued to.
The DNR carries a lot of weight in the state of Minnesota. And when the DNR approves one of these sand mines or denies one of these sand mines, it's hard to go to make a decision to go against them. So I'm surprised that the DNR hasn't got involved in this one.
There's no permit yet. They can't. And we're not arguing what the DNR can do. We're saying the mine density standard. That's what we're arguing.
The DNR would need to know exactly what they were looking at. They would need to know that it's silica sand, and then it would partly require a year-long study to check the watershed, because there's that trout, they raise trout pretty close to that.
So Amelia, have you had any communication with DNR on this?
On the amendment? No.
Have you had any communication on proposed mines?
Yes.
And what have they said?
They were reviewing a proposed mine for the requirement for their silica sand setback to trout stream.
Okay. So that would be something that would have to, the applicants would have to go through the DNR to make all those determinations, right?
Yes.
Before they come to us?
I don't know that they have to do that before they come to us, but they were choosing to do that so that they had an understanding of, or just had everything finalized before it came to us, I guess.
Are we
So
talking specific?
questions were
No,
answered.
the board is having discussion here now.
We can't go specific, we're going, I mean, we can't go specific, that's what you keep telling us.
Did she answer your question?
Yep.
Well, we could sit here and talk all night for or against, and we don't want to get in an argument, and we don't want any hard feelings, as we have to do, the board has to do what, if they're going, want to vote on it tonight, make a recommendation. That's what we do, is make a recommendation to the commissioners. And I'm asking you, do you want to vote on it?
Well,
In my opinion, I think we should have a discussion of the board members between just us and privately.
Oh, we can't do that.
Can't do that?
No.
It's
Okay.
public.
You can't do that.
This is public
That's
opinion.
violates the open meeting law. You
Okay.
gotta, we gotta do it right here.
We could if you wanted to, but we're gonna spend another night at it for 3-4 hours. You could wait till you had the full board.
Yeah, we got
Please be quiet so we can hear.
two board members absent, so.
And I'm asking you what you want to do. I'm not telling you.
well, the proposal they submitted was modify the language to new sand mining permits shall be limited to sites located no closer than a half mile from all existing permitted or legal non-conforming sand mines. Measurements shall be taken from the proposed boundary of the new site to the approved boundary of the existing site. That was their proposal. I assume that's what we're voting on.
Correct, you would,
Jump in.
you'd vote to approve or deny that. If you want to go something totally different, that's a different, I mean, that's a different project in itself, so.
So then that would eliminate the definition of industrial and construction then?
No. No, that's just,
No, it leaves them, but it doesn't, well, yes, it eliminates it from that language, but it leaves the definitions themselves in the ordinance.
yeah.
So it's
What
not
about-
going, it's,
Sorry, my bad.
so it's not going back to what it was. It is being changed somewhat. It'll be just a half mile between construction and industrial. Right now, it reads a half mile between industrial and not between construction, correct? That's what the new ordinance says now. That was changed last year.
Correct, the 2025 amendment said that it's a half mile between new industrial mineral mines from permitted or legal non-conforming industrial mineral mines.
And this would be a half mile between sand mines.
Yep, just sand general.
Oh, on our sheet here, it's sands crossed off, industrial would be crossed off, actually.
It looks like you're looking at probably the old one.
Okay. So it's new sand mines, not new industrial mineral mines?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, this
crossed
was the
off.
change last year, so that, yeah, this is what it is.
This is what these guys are asking. Doesn't do anything with that.
Right there. Okay.
Well, what do you want to do on it? Somebody say something.
Think we need another.
Well, I'm gonna jump in and say, I'll make a motion that we adopt the language that, was proposed tonight.
We would need to do findings first, I guess. You guys
Oh, yeah.
are looking to move forward. I just want to state for the record too, you guys were given, there was one comment that did not make the packet from Joyce Ruffler from March 17th, but you guys were given that ahead of time so you could review that prior to the hearing.
Ooh, where's the bindings in here? page the findings on it are? Is it on the back?
Would be 4.
Got so many pages here that. You find it?
I didn't
I
find
didn't
it.
find it.
Maybe it ain't in mine.
It's right at the beginning, page 4. Okay, yeah.
Got the findings.
And you guys could add or change those, or they, like I said, they proposed some as well.
Okay, it's this one here then. Must be this one here she's talking about. Well, do you want to read them then?
Yeah. So the staff proposed findings were, 1, that one of Houston County's guiding values acknowledges that aggregate materials are important to the economic basis of the community and to use in construction, road maintenance, and other uses, and strives to balance access to materials with protection of natural resources. Number 2, that another value in the comprehensive land use plan cites the importance of sound environmental practices that promote the efficient use of all natural resources and protection of environmentally sensitive natural resources. While it has been stated that this ordinance change creates unregulated mining, it is not unregulated. There are still county and state permitting requirements. Number 3, Goal 2.2 of the Comprehensive Land Use Plan promotes agriculture as a viable land use and significant contribution to economic activity in the county, and access to these construction materials is important for operations. In addition, the plan recognizes the cultural and economic importance of agriculture to the community. Local decisions should support maintaining and sustaining the vitality of family farms and locally owned agricultural operations, and support practices that balance the conservation of soil, water quality, and economic viability. Number 4, tourists travel our roads and bike trails and utilize our establishments, and these all require construction minerals to build and/or maintain. Number 5, rock quarries, which are classified as construction minerals, exist in greater frequency in the county than sand mines, and there is no density limitation required for those operations. Number 6, that amendments adopted in March 2025 did not change requirements for frac or industrial sand operations. Number 7, raw materials are a necessary component of maintaining our infrastructure, and keeping those small and local should be prioritized. It's not economical to transport materials long distances, and you experience an environmental trade-off by doing so with increased emissions and demand for fuels, etc. Number 8, neighboring counties likely hold the same values for protection of natural resources and their citizens, and it is unfair to place the additional burden of asking them to support our county as well.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the findings?
That was an evaluation, not.
Say what?
You want to read our findings, Amelia?
If they would like me to. Would you ask, Rich? I didn't catch that.
Well, that was your evaluation. That wasn't finding.
Yeah, so the ordinance doesn't have like a
It's not like a CUP.
like a CUP where it has the criteria already set up for us. We have to do that ourselves. So that's why,
This is an amendment, sorry, Amelia.
no, go ahead.
Okay.
That's why these are a little
This is an amendment to
different.
the ordinance language. This isn't a conditional use permit application. So you wouldn't have findings for that.
Yeah.
I guess I'd like to kind of get the group's thought on the different, what do you guys think the difference of if we don't do it on rock quarries? That was kind of the piece, right, moving to what we have now is mining in general. What do you guys see as the big difference between rock doesn't have to be a half mile away from each other, so it devalues properties. You can build 2 rock quarries next to somebody with a house in between today. We're not, nobody's debating that. Versus 2 sand mines. What's the difference? Is it just come down to the health side? I guess that's.
I don't see a difference.
I see the difference as, I think that, rock quarries are, they're like a long-standing need. There's always a need for rock. We have gravel roads, we'll have gravel roads probably in 10 years. Sand mining, if just construction sand, isn't that a big deal. But when you start to divide silica sand and construction sand as the same thing, frac sand is a boom and bust industry. We saw that 10 years ago. You know, you destroy entire hillsides and everybody says, whoops, I guess that wasn't very profitable. Now we're gone. And you leave the mess and everything else for the county or somebody to pick up because those companies are bankrupt. And somebody's got to, if there's anything that's going to happen, the counties end up with it. And reclamation, Houston County's record, I'm not saying we're like the worst in the world, but we've only reclaimed one mine that anybody can know about, and it was tiny. So as far as somebody saying, well, we'll tear this hillside and we'll reclaim it, we've never done it in the past, ever. And there's no real reason to believe that all of a sudden we're going to start.
What's your thought on this? To me, this wouldn't change that, right? This just moves the mine another 1,700 feet down the road. Doesn't change anything else. So like, I 100% get what you're saying. Rip the hillside off, and then who wants to look at that the rest of your life? This doesn't fix that problem. This just moves the mine 1,700 feet down the road.
Yeah, but I got to go back to what the people who proposed this said. They said that the half a mile was kind of a common sense compromise that was kind of good for everybody. And it seems like Houston County taxpayers and small businesses, especially the tourist businesses, because our economy is kind of changing a little bit from agriculture. I mean, we're going to make more and more money out of tourism, you know. So the comment said that this half mile is a good compromise, health-wise, everything. It seems to make sense for just about everybody. And especially if, like, the bakers, I can't believe, are going to be the only people who are going to get kind of pushed in the corner by something like this. And they deserve, every taxpayer deserves as much right to enjoy their property as the next one. And if all we're asking is a half-mile setback, I don't think that's too much to ask.
Well, that would determine what the commissioners would do. Quiet, please. We're trying to have a discussion up here. I don't think that would change the commissioners' stand on it.
Well, that's my recommendation. That's all I can do here.
Okay, so what we've got in front of us is.
Yeah, I want to.
Go ahead.
Because I agree with a lot of what you say. The thing I struggle with is ultimately you're just moving it 1,000 feet down the road. It doesn't really change a lot of what you're talking about. We're not limiting the number of mines in the county, right? Not saying we should, but it's not like the number of mines in the county from a tourism perspective, let's say, we could have more mines by making it a half mile. Like, we don't know, right? It doesn't actually address that issue.
No, but
it addresses the proximity issue, but it doesn't address, the bluff side and things like that.
But we can address that issue on a case-by-case basis, which is that's about all the regulation we have right now, is individual permits. And we can still do that, and we obviously will with every mine permit. This is just kind of, there's a little protection for people who have, spent their whole life here, really appreciate it. I mean, if you would happen to hop off the interstate in Russia to get on the bike trail, within 2 miles, you'd be driving by like bakers and stuff. And the first thing you see, they tore the top of that hill off. why did they do that? You know, it's like, and the first question would be, God, there's such a beautiful valley, and they just wrecked it.
Well, excuse, can we just have a discussion here without having interruption from the crowd?
I asked for that before, when we were going to have a board discussion here. If we want your comment, we would ask you, please.
So, my family and I, we ride bike a lot in the summertime. And we ride from Peterson to Lanesboro. And when we get close to Lanesboro, we ride right through a mine. It's right next door there. I think it's kind of cool. It doesn't seem to bother my family. It doesn't bother when we're going through there. So, I mean, we have mines all over this county. We mine the Root River. The county has a mine there for the Root River that pulls sand out for winter ice control. So, but I agree with what Rich is saying. We could look at these as a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, it's kind of, I used to ride that trail all the time too. Never bothered me, you know.
And you know what? I personally, I like to go into like gravel mines and stuff. There's a lot of geology there that you would never see otherwise, right? And so I can see enjoying riding your bike through that. But who wants to ride through a sand mine? I don't even know if it's possible to ride a bike through a sand mine.
Well, I just don't see the difference between a sand mine and a quarry mine. It's being pulled out of the ground, just like rock is being pulled out, sand is being pulled out. I'd say sand it's not as much demand, but it's something that's always been in demand in the county. We have a lot of dairies in the county, and you read all these findings here and listen to what that says. I agree with every one of them. I could approve them right there. What was stated here, to support our local agriculture needs, support our new homes that go up that have to put in mound systems, which most of them are nowadays, and you want the good sand for that. I don't see what is wrong. I mean, you'd bring up frac sand mining and the boom and bust of that. That's not happening in this county. It's not happening, and it'll never happen. The trucking prohibits it all. Now, Hatley's brought up that they sold some property to buy this property. Well, what about the neighbors that bought that property next to Baker's? They bought it, but they can't use it?
Just can't mine part of it. I mean, I have to go back to that. Nobody's asking for very much here. Just kind of common decency to, just don't mine in our backyard. You know, a half a mile.
Then we should have mining at all then.
Don't we owe it to people?
That's where I struggle with. If it's not here, it's somewhere else.
Exactly.
So then it's somebody, and I feel for the folks that have 3 mines surrounding them. I don't want that either.
But at least it's a half mile away. Now, I mean, half mile, like from Baker's in particular.
Now you affected more property owners, right? More property owners.
Well,
live next
I
to
guess
the mine than before.
We'll have to see what the need is, because sand mines would be driven by need. And I have to go back to Olson, never showed up. I mean, if anybody should have come for that, it should have been them.
But we're really not discussing Olson's here.
Nope, we're discussing
an ordinance.
But we are though, aren't we? That is
No,
what we're
I-
here talking about.
Well, right there, that was. an
Underlying, that's
example
what
of
we're
it.
all here talking about, is the Olsons. And who's not here? The Olsons.
Well, the half mile is, let's just talk about the half mile then. I think everybody deserves an opportunity to enjoy what they've spent their whole life working for, and probably still are, and maybe will be by the time they tip over dead. And they come here and they say, I would just like a little bit of space, just a little bit of space. And we say, nope, we might need sand. So you're gonna have to suffer for it. We don't even know if these sand mines are needed.
Do you think that business decision is really with the owner, right, if that sand mine's needed?
If what?
They're not putting in a sand mine because it's gonna lose them a bunch of money, right? The supply and the demand, I think, we're not here to decide if there's supply and demand. Business owners decide that, right? We can't say you shouldn't put in this sand mine because.
No, God, no.
It's not our, you know.
That was just an example of need for me. I mean, I think that the need will be the driving force of where a sand mine goes and who needs it. Whether they need it, if they need it, obviously, if they need it on the eastern part of Houston County, they wouldn't put it over by Rushford.
Yeah. But do you think they're putting in another one over by that area because there's a need, they need more sand in that area to sell?
I don't know.
I mean, that's what I would have to lean towards, right? Otherwise, why would they do it? And that's where promoting agriculture in the community, right? Like, we know that sand is used for that. That's, I mean, when we've had other discussions, right, that's number one priority for the county, right? Whether you agree with it or not all the time.
Yep.
So it's a tough thing, right? Because we want to limit, if there's a demand for that and we need it in construction and agriculture, et cetera, we're going to put a limit on it so people can't do that within the county, which is something that we say we encourage. Now, counter to my argument would be, well, they can put one up just a half mile down the road, right?
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do? We do it. We haven't had a motion to approve the findings. We also have a motion on the floor.
Well, there wasn't a second to that because,
I know there was no second to it.
but you need a motion for what you stated here, Amelia? Or is this just?
We needed a motion on the findings,
To,
whatever findings you want.
so do you want to make a motion to?
I guess before that too, one of the things that's been brought up a couple of times that I guess it is interesting. I feel like we're in the inverse situation here. When this went through the first time, the only people we had here were minors, right? And they were given that side of it.
Mhm.
Now we have the opposite. We have
Mhm.
only people that don't want the mine.
Mhm.
Might be something we want to wait, go to next time, invite the minors. If they just choose to not come give any input and any pushback against this change.
But this is just a zoning amendment change.
But if my business is mining, I care about it. Or I don't, because I don't care that it's a half mile setback. I'm not concerned with it. My thing is, one, do they know about it, which we've hit on already, but, right, because if this is important to them, not any particular miner, but if it is important to them, they would want to come and give feedback, I would think, and say, here's
Well,
why
they
you
put a
should.
comment in here. GQ.
True, yeah,
They
true.
put a comment in here.
Yeah, that's right.
If you read that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read it.
There was 30 comments, let me see here. I stopped counting. It was 29 comments who wanted the half mile setback and 2 comments who wanted to keep it the same, and they were GQ and Bruning.
So excuse me, so in G Cube's comment here, Rich, can you find anything that you disagree in here on this? with their
Yeah,
reasons.
the half mile. That's why we're here. I mean, this is all about the half mile. It's not about anything else.
Well, and if it's,
When we get a permit, just like last month, nobody could speak, with any public comments because there wasn't anything to talk about. This time, what we have to talk about is the half mile. If you want to talk about pruning, that's fine, but, this time the proposal is to put a half mile density limit on. That's it. Right? Unless I read this wrong.
Paul, can I just, excuse me, could I read a paragraph of here of G Cube's
go ahead.
letter? So there's one paragraph here says, "We feel this zoning amendment is compatible and in accordance with the Houston County Land Use Plan, as the plan outlines the priority of agriculture and safe transportation within the county. The zoning amendment would separate industrial mineral frac sand, in parentheses, mining, and the construction mineral mining, which has the end use of agriculture and construction projects, roads, etc. Currently, the cost of sand and dairy and the septic industry is hauled out from out of county locations due to the limited ability to find the product within the county. The amendment would allow for shorter hauling routes with making the resource more affordable to the agriculture and construction industries operating in Houston County."
That doesn't say anything about density, and that's what this is about.
The density rule would still be in place if it were industrial. That's what, so like if it's used for industrial use, it would be, the half mile rule still is in place. But if it's for construction, that's what I've been trying to say here. If it's for construction or agriculture, then the half mile rule wouldn't be in place.
See, this is the definition is one of the problems to even getting
It's the
close
same
to the answer.
definition that Winona County uses and Fillmore County uses it. That's what they've utilized. It's been working for them. So
All I'm saying is that you can call it construction sand, you can use it like construction sand, but it's silica sand, it's frac sand.
I dare say if it's tested
You
for,
could fill your swimming pool with pop, but it would not be water.
Isn't there silica sand in?
You could still swim in it.
I don't know.
And don't we have to stick to what is proposed, the half mile density?
That's right.
I couldn't change a permit application here.
this is amendment for an amendment change. It's not.
Well, but this is
not
what
for a
we came here to, on behalf of the Corey Baker and all these people, that's what they requested. So don't we have to vote on what they requested?
Yeah.
Well, I make a motion to approve all 8 statements here.
Is there a second?
Their motion, they're just approving those findings that were read, the criteria that were read.
Gotta listen. Is there a second? You want to read them over again?
No, we've read them.
No, I know, but I'm asking the board.
Nope.
We read it.
I don't think it needs to be read. I agree with all 8 of them.
Motion on the floor to approve the findings. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Roll call vote.
And this is just on those 8 findings, if we
That's
agree
right.
with those findings.
That's
Yep.
what this motion is, on the findings.
You guys could provide an explanation too, I guess, with this vote, be helpful. Larry Ghosted.
I approve these findings as written.
Josh?
Yeah, I also vote yes on these findings. I think,
Could you speak up, please?
I vote yes on these findings. I think what was detailed out in the findings specifically, I don't find anything to disagree with.
Franklin?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes, I agree with him. I agree with number 2, that it cites our comprehensive land use plan where, that we protect our natural resources also, but also allow mining within the county. Number 5, the rock quarries, which are classified as construction materials, require no density limitation for those operations. The amendments adopted did not change the requirements for frac or industrial sand operations. I say yes.
Okay. I didn't know if you were done.
I'm sorry.
Rich?
I have trouble with some of the language, so I'm going to vote no.
So the motion is carried.
Yes.
So we did have a motion on the floor earlier. Do you want to state that motion again?
Sure, I'm going to read it. I make a motion that we adopt the following language. New sand mining permits shall be limited to sites located no closer than 1/2 mile from all existing permitted or legally non-conforming sand mines. Measurements shall be taken from the proposed boundaries of the new site to the approved boundary of the existing site.
I should put that recommendation, I think, because we're just a recommending board. The commissioners make the final. Would that be proper?
Yes, you're just recommending that get.
Yeah.
So there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second to that motion? Is there a second to that motion? Is there a second to that motion? Motion fails for lack of a second.
Do your jobs.
So now do you want to, does someone want to make a motion for leaving the, and I'm not just asking, leaving the zoning ordinance?
We don't need to do a motion for that.
Okay. Okay, because it's in place.
It's in place.
Okay. Okay.
Right, Amelia?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll present this as not a denial, but a failure to pass.
Is there anything else the board wants to talk about before, other than this topic, before we adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, folks.